Hello and happy Tuesday, everyone. It is time for another episode of not top five. I almost said top five because the guest host for Party Chat tonight is my co-host on top five, which is on the alternating Tuesdays. But it is episode 29 of Party Chat, and right now I've got my good buddy Carl here joining me. And how are you doing tonight, Carl?
Tired, but I'm also happy because I finally got my copy of Metaphor Refantasio after getting locked out, as they would say, because of the U.S. Postal Service.
Okay, exciting. I know you've been talking a lot about that game. Have you actually started it yet?
I played the demo. I have, according to the time on there, 4 hours on my main save, but I did do another save, so about like 8 hours into the game.
Okay, and so the progress in the demo carries over to the full game?
Yeah, but there was like a weird part in there. Like I beat this boss at the end of the demo, and it didn't save that, so I'm kind of annoyed about that. But besides that, it's been pretty good.
All right, well, I'll definitely give you a chance to talk about that a little bit more here shortly. But before we get to that, Ryan will be here. He said he's going to be running a little bit late, so he'll join whenever he gets here. But I got my awesome co-host of Top 5 joining us for Party Chat tonight. Jason, what is up?
Not much. It feels weird being the guest.
Yeah, it's like, Jason and I are on Tuesday. It must be Top 5. Oh, wait, no, it's not. It's Party Chat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's
I get to just hang out and chill and interrupt all you guys while you guys host, and I just get to be here and not have to worry about anything.
Yeah. Yeah, with the change in the schedule, it's been great to getting people who weren't able to join the Saturday Party Chats to make it on Tuesdays. So, So, all right. Well, while we're waiting for Ryan to join us, we'll go ahead and get started with our usual starting. And what we always start off Party Chat with is go around the horn and give everyone a chance to talk about what they've been playing lately. So, Jason, have you had a chance to be playing anything lately? And if so, what have you been playing?
So I think it was last Wednesday. A re-release of an old favorite PC game came out, and the Backyard Sports series has found its way onto Steam.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, so I have been not being able to play it very much. I've been able to start a season on Backyard Baseball, and it's a lot of fun on the Steam Deck because you can just use the touchscreen, and it works just as well as a mouse because that's how the game was played. There's other ways to play, but it's surprisingly easy to play on the Steam Deck, which I was not expecting that to happen. So yeah, I've been pretty much playing that, and then if I can, I've just been trying to play some fighting games like normal, but unfortunately not as much as I would like to. But that's about it. And then last big game I played, I have it back here, was a little bit of Echoes of Wisdom, but that's like a real game. That's the last real game I've been able to play very, very little. And I'm very, very sad that I can't play the Silent Hill 2 remake yet, just because I've watched some of it, and I get motion sickness a lot, and there's no FOV thing yet on there, so there's talks about that's happening. So as soon as that was able to, I'll be able to hopefully play some Silent Hill 2 remake.
Okay. Yeah, the Backyard, it's because it was a whole series of Backyard Sports games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And did all of those come forward, or was it just Backyard Baseball?
So just baseball right now. Football.
Oh, okay, so they're working on the
Yeah. There's 6 of them total. They're all like $8. But yeah, football I believe is next, and basketball, soccer, 2002 baseball, and then hockey I think was the last one. But they're all eventually going to be coming out in sometime. But yeah, we'll be buying all of them because I played all of those way back when.
Okay. Yeah, I remember them being a thing back then, but I never actually ended up playing them myself. So, but when I heard about that they were coming back a couple months ago, I was like, yeah, not for me, but it's always cool to see some, childhood things come back from, the abyss, essentially.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of fun. The people that play it, I always like to ask, like, who do you actually think is the real best player in all the backyard sports? Because there is the one Pablo Sanchez that everybody says, but man, that Pete Wheeler, he's easily up there too. So it's always fun to see who thinks the true MVP of those sports games were.
And how are you liking Echoes of Wisdom?
For the very little I've played, it's fun. It's more puzzle. It's more puzzly, which is fine. But I really like the toyification art style that Nintendo did with
Link's Awakening.
Thank you. With Link's Awakening, and I like how they brought it back with this. So anytime they do that art style, I'm a huge fan of. Oh, also I've been playing some Astrobot, so that was the other game too.
Well, what a perfect segue. I'm looking forward to playing Echoes of Wisdom eventually. It probably won't be anytime soon, but I heard a lot about, all the hype before it came out, but basically since it came out, I've heard almost nothing about it. So I don't even know what the general consensus is on it yet, other than, it's good. I haven't heard anything like outstanding one way or the other.
Yeah, the little that I've played is you learn about these new items that you can copy, and then you copy these items to get to other parts of the world, and you solve puzzles that way and figure out what's going on in the world of Hyrule. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's a missed opportunity to call it The Legend of Link, since now you're actually playing as Zelda.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So,
I mean, technically, yeah.
Yeah, with the whole meme, like, what if Zelda was a girl? It's like, noobs. So, Carl, welcome, Mr. Astrobot. Have you been playing Astrobot lately, or what have you been playing?
I played Astrobot a couple weeks ago, beat the game, liked it, but now I'm on to, after they announced the new Yakuza game that takes place in Hawaii, I started to go back and play all the Yakuza games.
And the one in Hawaii, is that Infinite Wealth?
This is another one that takes place in Hawaii. This one you get to play as Goro Majima, and you get to play as a pirate. I think it's called Like a Dragon Pirate something. I can't remember the name off the top of my head.
Haven't even heard of that one.
Yeah, they announced it I think a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, we're so back. So I decided to play all the Yakuza games. I've been playing Yakuza 5 right now. So working my way through that. And that's basically all I've been playing because I've been waiting for my copy, like I said before, of Metaphor. And it finally came today because it was a holiday in America yesterday. So the post office didn't deliver.
Holiday.
Yeah.
Federal holiday.
So I was very upset. I was very upset because I was hoping to get it on Saturday. It wasn't coming on Saturday. And then someone reminded me that, actually my father-in-law, because he's a post office worker, said he was off Monday. And I was like, no, no, I was so mad. So yeah, that's really about it. Just been playing Yakuza 5 and Monster Hunter. Got our friend Mr. Metal Shred Freak, aka Fernando. He's got the itch, so I got the itch.
So the Yakuza games, I know that there's a ton of them. Did you start with 1 and you're already on 5? Because those are pretty lengthy games from what I've gathered, right?
Well, I've beaten all of them except for obviously everything after 5 now. So I started with Kiwami, then Kiwami 2, then I played 0, then I played 3. Then I took forever to beat 4, and I just did that like a couple weeks ago. And now I'm on 5, and I've been really loving 5.
Oh, okay. So you've been working on this for a while, not something that was just like within the last like couple weeks.
No, I don't have that much free time.
Okay. I was gonna say, man, you're tearing through it because the way you said it sounded like you had just recently started playing the Yakuza games, and now you're already on 5. I was like, wow, you're tearing through them.
No, unfortunately I don't have that much free time. It's just been distracted with everything else. It took me forever to beat 4. Like I think I had that sitting in my quick resume for like over a year. And I was like halfway through the game, but then it's just like everything started to come out and I just was like, I'll get to it eventually, you know?
Yeah, I got lots of games like that I will get to eventually. So And we got Anna's Gameland is here. Hello, Anna. Good to see you. I haven't had a chance to chat with you yet, but would love to have you on sometime. Saying, hey, Neo, Carl, and Jason, and Ryan, who was always late. Yeah, not always, but often. But hello and welcome. Good to see you. As
Hello.
for myself, as basically my been playing lately is the same thing for the last like couple months. I've still been making my way through the Mega Man X collection on GameCube. I finally finished Mega Man X6 last night, which is the last one in the collection. So I have got the story completion, which is basically beat Mega Man X's 1 through 6. And I just put 6 on the back burner for so long because I was just so burnt out on it. Because 6 is not a good game. It's still better than X7. If X7 had been in this collection, I might not have played it because I do not want to play through X7 again because that game is god awful. So it's still better than that, but of the X1 through 6, it's definitely the worst. And so I finally was like, all right, I got to get through it so I can get this completion for the Retro Achievements GameCube launch event because that goes for about another month, and I still have a bunch more games to get through. So I finally finished that last night. I am still going through it one more time really quickly because there's one more achievement that I want to get that requires a quick playthrough of Mega Man X6. I just started it a couple hours ago, and I'm already about halfway through. So I'm using not cheats because there aren't really any cheats in the game, but because a lot of achievements in the game have to do with like beating bosses without taking damage and without using certain items, you're really handicapped. So that's what has taken a lot of the time. But this time I've basically gotten all of those, so I'm just like burning through it with all the fully powered power-ups I have, and it's much more fun this time. Still not great, but I'll probably finish that up tonight because just if you're going through it really quick and not worrying about achievements and just trying to speed run it, it's not terribly long. So I'll probably be able to get that last achievement that I'm not the last achievement in the Mega Man X collection. I've got like 321 out of the 407. So I've got about 75% of the achievements. And this is the last one I'm planning on getting before I move on to another game. So I'll finally be starting probably it's between Jedi Outcast and the Clone Wars game. I haven't decided which one I'm going to go for next, but I'll probably be starting that tonight after I finish that Mega Man X6 playthrough, or maybe tomorrow. And then the other thing I have been playing, although it's been probably almost a week now since I played it, but it was a panic play because it is leaving, or technically it just left game. No, it's leaving Game Pass tonight, before tomorrow morning sometime. And it's been one that I was never planning on playing it, but on the Valentine's Day episode of Party Chat, Nadia was on the panel and she talked about this game. I don't remember what the question was, but she was talking about this game. And I was like, you know what? I guess I'll go ahead and put it in my backlog and I'll play it eventually. And then it came up at the beginning of the month saying this game is leaving Game Pass in 2 weeks. So if you're going to play it now. So that game is Scorn. Do you guys know anything about Scorn? Have you played it?
I watched walkthrough and I've played a little bit, and yeah, that was good. Yeah, it's a very interesting game.
I saw it and I was like, that's a game.
Yeah, I remember a lot of people talking about it before it came out. I wasn't really ever interested in it because it looked like a spooky game. It definitely is a spooky game, absolutely. Not scary, just spooky. No. I thought it was like a survival horror game, but after playing it, it's like I said, it's spooky. It's not scary. It's not survival horror. It's basically a first-person, very slow-paced puzzle game. There is a little bit of combat in the game, which I think they should have just gotten rid of, and it should have solely been a puzzle game because the combat in the game is terrible, god awful. And if you thought like ammo scarcity in games like Resident Evil was bad, my goodness, there's like if you miss a shot, you might as well just reload your checkpoint because there's almost zero ammo in this game. There's basically enough ammo in the game for not even all the enemies in the game, and you have to get like either headshots on them perfectly every time, otherwise you're going to run out of ammo. So the ammo scarcity in the game is terrible. The puzzles weren't bad. The art style is very H.R. Geiger. That's the whole atmosphere and art style of the game is very spooky. The puzzle aspect of the game was perfectly fine. But yeah, and then the ending of the game sucked. So my biggest issue with the gameplay was the combat, and then I was like, the story, if you want to call it that, didn't really have a story. It's just you wake up and you're solving puzzles. There's kind of like a Limbo or Inside. There's stuff going on, but there's zero explanation of why. You're just in this world, and it doesn't explain anything. So the story, if you want to call it that, I was like, there's, it's okay. But then I got to the ending of the game, like, well, that sucked. And then the ending of the game, I ran into 2 or 3 glitches on the last door. It wouldn't open. And I thought it was something like I wasn't solving the puzzle right. So I spent like a half an hour trying to figure it out. And then I went and looked up like a guide. I'm like, what am I missing here? And they went and did the exact same thing I had done, and the door opened for them. I'm like, oh great, it's glitched. So I had to reload my checkpoint, which was like there's like no checkpoint for like the last like 20 minutes of the game. So you have to go and redo like the entire 20-minute segment, and it's really one thing. If you do play this game, fortunately I found this out right at the beginning of the game, but you walk really slowly. There is a sprint button. It's not a sprint button. It's just a walk faster button. But if I didn't know about that, I would have disliked the game even more. So if you do play the game, there is a walk faster button on Xbox. It was the left bumper. But even so, I still had to go through the entire like last 20 minutes of the game again. And then I hit a completely different glitch on the last door. And so I had to go and do it again. And then finally on the third time, the door finally opened. I went through it. I beat the game, and the ending cutscene was terrible. So the puzzle aspect was good. Everything else I was not a fan of. It's a short game. It's like a 5 to 6 hour completion. So it's not terribly long, which is why I was like, I'll go ahead and play this. So I would put it like, if I was to rate it out of like 10, I'd say like maybe like a 6. It was very mediocre, middle of the road. But yeah, if you like spooky type stuff, the art style and the atmosphere of the game is great. And with that is perfect timing. We have the other co-host Ryan showing up right before we get through our now playing. What's up, Ryan? How you doing tonight?
It's a long day, but I literally got home right before we were supposed to start, and I'm like, well, got to clean up. Sorry. So, busy day.
No worries.
Good to be here, though.
Good timing.
So, I was late and gay as usual. So,
No
what's
worries.
up, guys?
Good timing. Just in time for you to tell us what you've been playing lately before we get into our topics.
Well, yourself doesn't count. So, no, I'm kidding. Sorry. No, really? No jokes? Okay, all right.
Are you saying you played me?
No,
Played with you.
Yeah, no. I'm still lost now.
Yeah.
Let's just move on. Let it die. Let it die.
So, have you been playing anything lately?
I have not. No.
Okay.
I have not had the chance. I've had family in town, so that kind of takes pretty much backseat. I think I've only actually put out like 3 videos over 4 days. So yeah, it's been busy. So saw the new Beetlejuice.
Good chat. I haven't seen
What'd you
the
think of
original
that
one, so I don't know about that one.
I liked it. It was kind of goofy. It was fun. My parents liked it. I think Michael Keaton, of course, was incredible in it. So he definitely holds the movie up.
Were you guys big fans of the original?
Yeah, no, I was. Yeah. The irony is that Michael Keaton, he's come back to play Batman and Beetlejuice over the last not too long, and he killed it in both roles, whether you like the movie or not.
Yeah, I haven't seen either of those movies, but yeah, he seems to have done a good job in both.
If Michael Keaton can come back and play all the roles for Multiplicity, then I will be super ecstatic.
That would be hysterical.
That would be amazing.
He should make a sequel to Jack Frost.
Oh, that'd be great.
The warm, happy one, not the scary Christmas one, because he was in that one. That's the Jack Frost I remember from my childhood.
I watched both of those movies in the same day as a little kid. That's the funny part about it.
It's like this series makes no sense. Like what was it, 28 days later, and like it was like one was like a Sandra Bullock like chick flick, the other two are zombie movies.
Yeah, I think one was 28 Days, and that was the chick flick, because 28 Days Later was the zombie.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
was it London? Was it London?
Yes.
I know.
Yeah. It was London.
So, Amanda K is here saying Orion be playing the game of life. He doesn't have time for video games. What's okay? Video games. Yes, thank you. That's what
I want to. Now that I'm going to be going to my new schedule at my other job, I'll actually be able to. I want to bring back something I used to do, and it's so corny. I called it Fright Day Night. Like Friday night, but I'd play a scary game because I don't like to be scared, and I turn off all the lights, and I turn like the lights really low. So like even like with this, I'd be like highlighted like this, and you'd watch me get freaked out. So on the docket, I'm going to try to do it this Friday. Is going to be Silent Hill: The Room. I love the Silent Hill games.
Okay. Yeah, I remember you talked about Silent Hill on last party chat.
Yep.
If you get a chance, I haven't had a chance to play it, but I've seen a lot of things. Play the remake for 2. I've heard a lot of good things.
That one just came out, right?
Yeah. I'm a big fan of the original. The original is my absolute favorite. So if anybody's going to love it or scrutinize it, it would be definitely me. Would be one of them. So I played it when I was in high school. That's how long ago it was.
Same.
That was a PS1 game?
PS2.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Ryan's not that much older than me.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm surrounded by gray cocks. What can I say?
What the freak?
I'm just gonna nod and agree with that one because yeah.
When in doubt, Carl goes for the penis.
Damn right. Just like a chimpanzee.
All right, moving right along. All right, well, with that, we'll go ahead and get on into our topics for tonight. And as usual, I like to offer our guest host for the show to offer up a topic for us to discuss on Party Chat. And the topic that Jason wanted to talk about is your favorite arcade games. So I was arcades were kind of on the way out when I was young. They were still around. I barely played any. I have played a few, so I don't have a whole lot to choose from, but I do have a couple that I played and I really liked. But curious for Jason and Ryan. I don't know if Carl, you played much arcade games. No, I know you're a little bit younger than me, but I'm pretty sure that Ryan and Jason were probably big in the arcade scene. So really curious to hear from you guys what your favorite arcade games are. So Jason, I'll let you kick it off since this was your question.
Yeah, so arcade games or just like arcade moments, because obviously arcades became kind of a more of a, not what we were used to them like in the 90s. They came more of like a family fun center that, you could do either, more not ski ball, but like more other kind of bigger rides, attractions and kind of stuff like that. So even like if you had arcade moments or arcade just things that you, when you went in, when you're like, oh man, that was always fun to do, or, I won this big prize or anything like that, that would be also included in this kind of thing. But for me, just games in general, my list is way too big, so I try to limit down as much as possible.
But again, I know what one of them is, since it was your number one Star Wars games.
Yeah, right. But ones that I would always like go for right away when I was in the 90s, even now, because I'm close to the Galloping Ghost arcade, so I still get to relive my old I still get to relive my old arcade moments going in there. I don't get to do the old school where I could put a quarter or token up ready to play the next game, because that was always the most fun thing is, a guy beating somebody in the game and you're like, you know what? I got next. And you put your quarter up and, you're like, all right, A, no one's stealing my quarter, and B, I got this guy, kind of thing like that. So that was always one of my favorite moments. But all the Midway Sports...
the arcade that you have nearby you. I know we've talked about that on other streams before, but go ahead and talk a little bit about that.
Oh yeah, so I live not close enough. I mean, it's a decent drive, but not that far. I mean, compared to some other people. But I live next to the Galloping Ghost arcade, which now has over 1,000 arcade games in there for you to play. It's now the largest arcade in the world. $25, I believe it is now, $25. And you literally just walk in there and it's free play. You can leave whenever you want to leave. You can leave and come back as long as you have the receipt. There's some, food places by. You can literally make it a day and play as much games as you want from the old arcade days. And it's a blast. It's, like I said, it's pretty much what I remembered like my arcades being, but not 1,000 games, like the 50, 60 that were there, but this is just every game. And then they have even games that were never released because they are friends with some of the developers and they're like, yeah, we have a board. Do you want it? And then they would just build a cabinet for it and release the game like it would have been released back in 95, 96, 97, or whenever the game was supposed to kind of come out. But like Kay said, if you go on their website, the owner literally counted all the cabinets and showed you every game that's in the place. So if you were like, oh man, that sounds like a cool place to go to, and do they have this game maybe? You can literally watch the video and be like, holy crap, they have all these games and more that you probably couldn't even remember that came out, in the arcade kind of thing.
Sweet.
Oh,
So, it was still. Where were you headed before I so rudely?
Oh no, you're fine. So yeah, just some of the games that I put on there. So like, yeah, I'm gonna go with my games first, and then I'll go with the moments. But like all the Midway sports games, I couldn't just like cut out NBA Jam, NBA Hang Time, or NHL Open Ice. Like, so I had to just put them all together. Anytime I walked into an arcade, I would first. Do they have a blitz machine? Do they have an NBA Jam? Do they have a Hang Time? Do they have an Open Ice? I would go there right away. Again, fighting games, I would walk down the Murder's Row, see what's going on there. Some of the older ones.
Arcade fighting machine of choice.
Depending on what was open, I would play them all. Marvel vs. Capcom, Killer Instinct, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter 2. I didn't play much of the Alpha. Which kind of sucks as an adult now because I'm like, oh man, those are really good games. I should have played them more when I had a chance. Third Strike, love that stuff. Didn't give a lot of Neo Geo stuff a chance. So like a lot of the King of Fighters, I wish I would have done more on the fighting games. I love Neo Geos in general, but I wish I would have gave their King of Fighters stuff more of a chance, kind of thing like that.
I've played a couple of King of Fighters games just within the last couple weeks, and
they're hard.
And I ranted about it on the last Achievement Chasers as well with Dude, because fighting games are not my things, and the King of Fighter games, and I'm just playing, the Xbox One version, and oh my god, it was infuriating me.
Oh yeah, no, they were made to take your money. Like that's what that's what SNK did. You were not beating the boss unless you knew the tricks to beat them because they wanted your quarters. That's just what they were meant to be there for. And if you learned the tricks of the trade, then you can beat single player. But yeah, no, the SNK stuff, they wanted 2 players. And again, that's where they're there to take your money. Like they didn't want you to play the CPU. They wanted 1v1, against each other. So double the payment, double everything. That's what they were there for. But again, like some of like the Pac-Man and the old retro ones, I was never a big fan of those. But the biggest retro old 80s one that I would always say that was my favorite was the old Track and Field. Anytime I saw a Track and Field machine, I was always on there trying to get the high score on that, just because it's all about tapping the button and doing all that kind of stuff. And it was an easy way to kind of get scores and everything. And then later on, I was a huge fan of like the DDR stuff. It was always fun to play those. Those are like the big ones. And then if anybody has ever had a chance, there's a game that Midway made called The Grid. If an arcade had it and they had like a 6 or a 4-player grid machine, that was one of the best like multiplayer besides like the sport games to play, because it was just a 2000s third person kind of like Unreal Tournament, but not in a way. I guess it was an Unreal Tournament, but just like third person, and you got points. Yeah, it's weird, like because it's not Unreal Tournament, but it's kind of got the weird weapons that way, and it's a third person shooter to get points. So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yes, a lot of people haven't. It's again, I think we more know around this way because, again, I'm in the Illinois area and Midway was around here. So a lot of those machines kind of stayed in Illinois. But yeah. And again, Galloping Ghost has like a 6-player arcade one. So anytime you go there, it's always fun to just be like, hey, we're playing this game for a couple hours.
Nice. So cool. Well, before we get to, any specific arcade memories, let's go ahead and give everyone else a chance to talk about their favorite arcade games. So, Ryan, since it seems like you were a big arcade guy as well. What are some of your favorites from back in that day?
I got a couple, but they're all actually they all kind of chunk in the same category. So, my arcade. One of the biggest arcade games that eventually came, there were two of them that eventually came to the Nintendo 64. One of them would be Cruisin' USA.
I knew you were going to say that because that's one of the few that I wrote down as well.
I loved Cruisin' USA. It was so much fun. And quite frankly, even the animated flag girl. I was a teenager. What are you gonna do, right? But no, it was just fun because like when you could literally like if you hit the timing right, like when you do like this wheelie and get like a little bit of a boost. It wasn't much, but then you could like double tap the throttle and you'd also get like do a wheel stand again. And it was just funny to do. My favorite was obviously the old school style Ferrari. And then if you actually hit the view buttons, you could actually change it to a school bus. So it was just as fast as the Ferrari. It made no sense, but it was a school bus. So you'd literally have a school bus that do wheelies and stuff like that, and it's just a big yellow school bus. But it was fun to like the music was on point. It was fun for the time. You got to literally cruise the USA, and it was a lot of fun. I was big on racing games. Then it had they had Cruisin' World. And I think they had Cruisin' 2049, and I stuck around for all those games. I love playing them in the arcade. Another big racing game that I loved was Hydro Thunder. Now,
I don't think I ever played that in the arcade, but I did play that on, was it N64 or maybe it was on Dreamcast. But I played it once or twice.
Fun fact about Hydro Thunder: I used to have a deluxe cabinet in my house of that game. Yeah, unfortunately, I had the monitor collapse on me this way instead of this way, so it pretty much died on me. I had to sell it. But if you go on just Arcade World Records, my brother is the world record holder in Hydro Thunder.
Nice.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's pretty. My brother is the best. If on a lot of the tracks, he is the best person to play Hydro Thunder. And because that's when we were in arcades, and that was his game of choice. So like he beats me by like 8 to 10 seconds. I have no idea how he gets his scores. They are ridiculous. So that's why we bought one for the house. We got one for pretty cheap, so he could practice and everything like that. But yeah, his record I think is now the main record he has. I think it's been now for over 14 years, 12 years. I always forget because you have to go to if you go to arcade, you just look up Hydro Thunder, you'll see his name.
That's wild. I've actually priced one before, like in the past, just to like see what it would like be to try to actually find one, and they're extremely expensive.
Evening, buddy.
That's what makes me sad about ours. We got ours for $300.
Wow.
No, not anymore.
Deal.
Yeah. The only thing is we had to go to Michigan to pick it up when we had to get it. And the only vehicle that we had at the time to bring it home was a Chevy S10. So I have no idea.
Big enough, right? I mean, there's small pickups, but.
So, yeah. So hold on. So this is. Yeah. No, this is.
The deluxe ones you have to sit down, right? It's got the whole seat attached. That's right.
This is the one that we had. We had the big boy. So we had to fit that in an S10. So
okay. I could see that being
and we had to drive from Michigan all the way back to Illinois. So this is what we had to deal with.
It's a bit blurry.
Wow.
Oh, okay, there we go. I see it now.
We had to bring that from Michigan all the way back to Illinois. I don't know how nothing fell out. No, it was totally worth it. I don't know how nothing broke. No, nothing, anything like that. But I do miss that.
Yeah, no, if I ever have the opportunity, because literally, like, I'm on eBay right now, and it's literally a Hydro Thunder boat racing arcade, sit down driving video card. Works great. Unit US dollars 1,750
I was gonna say I bet
plus
it's over $1,000.
plus $750 for the shipping.
Oh my god.
Yep.
See you later, Kay. Have a good evening.
Okay,
That's
this thing
insane.
it's insane, but the thing is in gorgeous shape. It really is. I mean, if I could. But yeah, this is no, I've always wanted one because I loved it. I grew up in a drag racing family, and of course, if you
Mm.
remember, one of them what looked like a top fuel dragster, but it was
Yep.
on like boat form.
Yep.
So it was like it doesn't look like the top fuel boats you'd actually see in like top fuel boat racing, but it looked like a top fuel dragster that was a boat. And as soon as I would always play that, and as soon as you got a boost, like these things would do
Up,
out
up.
the side. Yeah,
Mhm.
and then no, it was so much fun. I loved that game. I wasted so many hours playing Cruis'n USA and Hydro Thunder. Uh but the other category that I really loved, and these all kind of sit in the same place too. I was a huge fan of like it started with Time Crisis 2.
Mhm.
I loved playing that game. And then, of course, you had like the House of the Dead, which was really kind of similar. And then you even had the Jurassic Park game, which was really similar to all those. And no, I loved playing those style because it was just a lot of fun. You could literally play with a partner, and you guys were going through this like interactive first person story, and it was just a blast. Wasted so much money on those at the time. I think at the time is like $1 to play. Now, if you were to find one of those
Yeah.
in an arcade, you're gonna be paying like $2, $3 to play it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
The light gun shooters I always were like the ones I wanted to play the most. Like I said, I barely
yeah.
played any arcade games, but I always liked the idea of the light gun shooters the most. Those were cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved them. If I ever have the opportunity to have an arcade room, I would literally those are 5 games that I just mentioned that will all be in that room, and I would just be like, yeah, it'd be so much fun.
Mhm. The
Um,
funny thing about the light gun shooters that you all mentioned, they were all made by Sega, so that's why they all probably felt similar. Is they were
Mhm.
all Sega, they were all the Sega light gun shooters, and I don't believe they were made by the same group or the same person, but again, they all
No,
had that
probably.
Sega arcade feel, so that's the reason why.
I think Konami had a big hand in them, if I remember correctly. Well, don't quote me on that, but let me look it up. But yeah, no, they all felt so similar. And yeah, Light Gun arcade video game. It was done developer Namco.
Namco.
Yeah,
Okay.
Namco did Time
Namco.
Crisis. Yeah,
Yep. So Namco was Time Crisis. Well, who was House of the Dead? Because that was another good
Sega.
one. Was it Sega?
Sega.
Developed,
Was it
not
just
just
Sega?
published.
Yeah, it was just
Yeah.
Sega.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. No, there were a bunch of them. They were so much fun.
One thing.
Oh, go ahead.
Go.
Sorry, I was
I
gonna say
was
because you
going
like
to change the topic, so you go ahead if it was
no
on
no
topic.
just because you like on the games. Did you ever try like the what was it Police 911 or any of those crazier
I
ones
did
later
do that
on
one
down the
once.
line?
That was pretty cool because that
Police
one actually
911
tracked your
sounds familiar.
your movement.
Yeah,
That
that's the one where you actually had to move around stuff, and then because that was a Konami one as well, where they were doing like the DDR stuff where you had to move stuff, so like you had to move and cover, get up, and all that kind of stuff.
Yes,
That was something,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah. The Lost World Jurassic Park was made by Sega.
Mhm.
So yeah, no, these yeah, I would trip down memory lane. No, I absolutely loved them. And I wanted to get into Dance Dance Revolution because I was like, oh, this is gonna be fun, right? I was awful. I was just awful.
Oh yeah.
I
It's like
played
I had
DDR
food
a
left to
few
eat.
times. It was fun, but I was not very good at it.
I
It's
I
not
could
because
only
of rhythm, because I love like the music games like Rock Band and Guitar
Mhm.
Hero. It's just Dance Dance Revolution.
I
I wasn't terribly good at that one.
I could only hang on like advanced for like 10 seconds. Like and I'd be so out of step already at that point. So I lived on beginner, and I'd get like maybe a 78% completion rate.
So Ryan, one thing I was going to touch on something you mentioned earlier when you talked about cruising. You mentioned cruising 2049. I was just
Yeah, that's
looking it
Rush.
up. I was going to say,
Oh,
I'm
that's
assuming
Rush.
you're talking
Okay.
about San Francisco Rush
Yes.
2049 Because I
Okay.
do know that there was a 2049 because I had San Francisco
Yeah.
Rush on N64 and
Yep.
Rush 2049 was the arcade version.
Yeah, no, you're 1,000% right.
They were
So
both by Midway though. Cruising
Yeah,
and
that's.
Rush were both Midway.
Thank you for the correction. Yeah,
Okay.
so
I wasn't sure because I was like, maybe there was a Cruising 2049 that I didn't know about. So
No, it was Cruising World. It was Cruising World is
Okay,
what it
and then
was.
Rush
So I
2049.
did misspeak. Yeah, it's been a while, but no, my dad used to, and I used to play San Francisco Rush all the time on the N64. So like when 2049 came out, it was a lot of fun to play. Still wasn't my favorite compared to basically San Francisco Rush.
Yeah, San Francisco Rush. I think my grandparents got that for me for N64 and a steering wheel. I was first racing and I played with the steering wheel.
Yeah.
That was not
Rush.
an arcade game.
Yeah, Rush was fun, and then they had the Alcatraz edition come out. I think it was like 8 months or something like that, and they gave you a little bit more speed and a little bit more cars. That was a good one. Then 2049 came out later after that, but yeah, those were always fun.
Yeah, especially like when you like go off you like just like fly for
And-
like a minute. And if you didn't land just right on that, like it just.
I loved on the N64 version. You could do the cheats, and there was one to make you like heavy, really heavy, and then if you did it again, it would make you super light. So if you went off ramps, you just like fly
just
across
no gravity.
Forever. It wasn't no gravity, but it was like super low.
It felt like you're just like floating.
Yeah. So, Carl, what about you? Do you have any experience with arcades?
The only really experience I have is just playing the Pod Racer and the F-Zero ones.
I was going to mention Pod Racer.
Yeah.
We talked about that on Star Wars games not that long ago. That was, not only is that a great game, but yeah, the arcade version of that game was awesome with the actual like Anakin's Pod Racer and the handles. That was really cool.
Yeah. Besides that, I really didn't have too much experience with it. It's more so when I got to go to the movies, and then after the movies, my dad would let me play around in the arcade for like a little bit before he had enough, and he's like, "Time to go home."
Hey, that's an arcade. Like, so those are arcade moments. Like I wish that there was still like even going to like a 7-Eleven and walking out and there's 3 arcade cabinets just waiting for you to play, or going to Pizza Hut and there's 2 of them. Like, to me, that's still the arcade. Like, there's games there. You were waiting. Like, those were anytime you had a chance to play a game and there was multiple machines there. That was always to me like the most fun.
Yeah, my friends and I, we used to ride our bikes because we couldn't drive at the time, and we would ride from where we lived to the mall, which was probably, I don't know, solid 5 miles, maybe more. I don't know.
Dang.
I mean, my town's where I grew up is not that big, but it's like, you know. So anyway, we would go to Aladdin's Castle, which is basically the arcade.
Hell yeah.
And we'd go to Orange Julius afterwards.
Yep.
So it's like, now that's a blast from the past. Orange Julius, you don't see a lot of those.
Nope.
Does that even exist anymore?
No, in the theater we
think
also
so.
had in the mall where my friend and I again rode our bikes was United Artists Theater.
Okay,
That was
still got a few of those around.
Saw Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Saw The Mummy with Brendan Fraser. That was a good summer. That was a good summer.
Great movie, by the way.
Yes, incredible.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that because it's like, I gotta watch something for Halloween. I know. What was it, Jason? You have to remind me. We were talking about on Top 5 last week. There was a couple things that I said I was going to watch. Well, I know one of them was the Ghostbusters movies because I haven't seen them in 20 years. There was another movie that got brought up that I was like, you know what? I think I will watch that. Do you remember what that was? Or why? I'm going to need to go back and rewatch last week's Top 5. I remember there was a third movie, but I can't remember what it was.
It'll probably hit me as
Carl was there too.
Continues.
So something to keep in mind, Carl, if you can remember what it was, what movie I said I was going to watch since we were talking about spooky movies.
It was Independence Day.
I do love that one.
The second one specifically.
I did not think it was as bad. Not great, but I didn't think it was bad as everyone said it was. I did like that movie, despite it not being a good movie.
Why am I not shocked by this statement?
Definitely the first one is far better, but I didn't hate the second one.
I think the second one's an abomination.
Totally understandable. So
you should watch The Mummy, though.
The original one, right?
The one with Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, the one with Brendan Fraser.
Okay, yeah, not the Tom.
That's a great movie. We should do a show just about that one.
Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz.
We could do a top 5. I've got in my top 5 topics for like movies on like specific actors, like top 5 movies of this actor. We could do a Brendan Fraser top 5.
Number 1, Dudley Do Right.
Airheads. Is Airheads? I think Airheads. Is that the right one? The one where he's in the band, takes over the radio station?
Ooh, I don't know.
Oh, Airheads. I was thinking of Coneheads. I don't know.
I think
Airheads.
number 1's got to be The Mummy.
I have to go back and look at his filmography because I don't.
The Mummy is my favorite one.
Yeah, and then I think I would have to honestly put. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I'd say probably The Mummy Returns, and then I'd probably actually put Encino Man, then George of the Jungle. Number 5.
Okay,
dude, George of the Jungle.
I saw that as a kid. I don't remember almost anything about that movie, but I do know that I remember watching it.
You're old enough to remember the original George of the Jungle. What's the problem with you?
Wait, there was a George of the Jungle before Brendan Fraser?
What do you think it's based off of?
I thought it was an original movie.
Oh my!
There was a
George
of the Jungle before Brendan Fraser.
Did you also think Rocky and Bullwinkle was just an original movie too?
I saw that cartoon when I was a kid.
The Adventures of Moose and Squirrel.
So when was this original George of the Jungle movie? I didn't even know this existed.
You mean a cartoon?
Oh, it was a cartoon? See, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, no, that's back when Disney was very good, by the way, because Disney did George of the Jungle.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's so weird.
Leslie Mann in it. Yeah, she. Yep.
Fine, I'll look it up myself.
It's like they did George of the Jungle and Tarzan. That's weird. Who they think about it?
No, I knew. I knew that the Disney Tarzan was based on existing property. Although I've never seen anything of Tarzan prior to Disney, but I did know it was an existing property. George of the Jungle, I had no idea that was an existing property. George.
Are you looking that up? And we're talking about Brendan Fraser. Another one. I know it's not a movie, but I think it's one of his best characters. Is what was it? I think his name was Ben on Scrubs. That was really, really good too.
I haven't seen Scrubs in forever.
There was a Jungle cartoon from in the 60s.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
I did not know that existed.
Well, if the opening credits, like if you actually watch, I think it's the opening credits, right? To where it's actually an animated cartoon, like George of the Jungle. Yeah. So, and then yes, I forgot he was Ben on Scrubs. That was an incredible episode. I love Scrubs.
Yes, I just had a post. I was like, that's one of my favorite. Like that, the whole thing. Yeah, that whole thing is insane, and how he played that character. And
the whole thing
was good.
It was wild because the finale of it, when JD's, and I'm not going to spoil it if you've never seen it, you should watch it. He's like, "Where do you think we are?"
Dude. Dude, that's
Brendan Fraser is incredible.
Yeah, good dude from what I've seen of him.
So. Honestly, The Mummy was I think his best performance. He was just having a time of his life.
Well, yeah, he got.
I definitely do need to watch the Mummy movies again. So back on topic though.
He's like, let's wrangle it up.
So as for some of my, I'd say favorite arcade games, because like I said, I've not played very many. So just some of the ones that I do remember playing and enjoying. Smash TV. That was I like that one. It was hard. I didn't get very far, but I did like that one a lot. And then one that I had, you know what? I think I pulled it up and then I forgot to keep the tab open because there was a racing game I remember that I played a few times at the arcade at the roller rink that I live literally right down the street from, that I went to a bunch as a kid on field trips and stuff. Was a 3-person racing game. It had 3 steering wheels. There was red, yellow, and blue, and it was an off-road racing game. And I was like, what the heck was that game called? So I had to go and look it up. And it was like,
it was something. I can't remember the guy's name, but it was just called Off Road. When it came to this, it
was just called Off Road.
Yeah, and then it becomes Super Off Road when it came to the consoles. But I forgot the guy's name. It was some dude's name, Off Road. But yeah,
yes, it was Ivan Iron Man Stewart's Off Road.
There it is.
So that one I played not a bunch of, but it's probably the arcade game I played the most, and that was a lot of fun. And then
for a moment for that game, everybody, if they saw it, no one was playing it, they would walk to the steering wheels and they would go as fast as they can and see how fast they can get in. They would walk away. Everybody would do that to that machine.
And then another one that I think I only played like once or twice, but I was, one of my favorite movies as a kid was not necessarily my favorite movie. I mean, I love the movie and still do to this day, but it was kind of like a thing that me and my dad bonded over. It was like one of our favorite movies was Top Gun and the Afterburner arcade game, because it was an F-14, just like in Top Gun. That thing was freaking cool. You sat in it, had a joystick. If you go back and look at it now, it's like that looks like crap, but it was a pretty cool one. I probably played it like once, maybe twice, but I thought that was
if
pretty
you
cool.
were lucky enough to play the Afterburner that actually you got to sit in a cockpit
Yes.
and it would move you around.
Oh, and it moved?
It moved, so you would move around. You would have had it's pretty cool.
That bums me out. Cool. I didn't know that exists. I'm a huge fan of Top Gun. I've wanted to be a pilot ever since I was a kid because of that. Like,
I was planning on being a pilot too.
Well, I'm currently in the process of trying to actually make that happen, so we'll see.
Sweet.
But yeah, no, my cousin and I, we watched Top Gun every afternoon, and we would reenact it with our little micro machine freaking airplanes. Yep. I'm not joking.
I had a bunch of micro machines.
Dude, that's good childhood right there.
I love Top Gun. I was so worried about Top Gun Maverick being garbage. I was so happy.
Same.
It turned out to be such a good movie.
And now they want to do a 3, and I'm like,
don't push your luck. I think we're good with the 2, but
Tom Cruise says he liked the premise of the script. I kind of got it. He said the same thing about 2. He's like, I won't do it if I don't like it.
Has he done any bad movies lately? I mean, everything he's done. Even if it hasn't been a financial success, they've been still good movies.
So no, everything he does is like gold. Everybody loves it. Now, look, you can, obviously the last Mission Impossible Part 1 didn't do great, but I think it was too much at once. I think it was too the cinema was rough in that time frame.
Oh yeah. It's because it came out at the same time as Barbenheimer.
Yeah. Well, also at the same time too, the budget, from what I understand, is included in both Part 1 and Part 2, which is what it was. So that's why the budget was huge.
Okay.
So they did it back to back. So it might even out a little bit more. But yeah, but no, even that was great. So I
love that movie.
I look forward to the second half.
That was in my top 5 summer blockbusters.
So, but no, Top Gun Maverick was better than the first. I'm gonna be honest, and I love the first.
I love the first Top Gun too, as well. So, and then while we're on the topic of fighter jets, one of the other ones that this is probably my favorite shmup, and I love shmups. I haven't played a lot of them, but I do love the genre.
What's a shmup?
Shoot 'em up.
Shoot 'em up.
Just kind of compacted to shmup.
Okay, I've never heard that, but cool.
It's the Aero Fighters games. They were in arcades, and they weren't. You didn't see them a whole lot because the more popular ones were like 1942 and the more realistic ones. I was a fan of the more sci-fi ones that had the crazy over the top guns where the lasers lock onto a target and they're curving all around and stuff. I
did play 1942. Yeah.
You should try awesome. Look up Salamander. I think you would dig that one a lot.
Salamander. I've not even heard of that one.
That's really good.
Salamander. Shoot them up. Okay, I'll check that out. But yeah, the Aero Fighters games were really cool. Really cool shoot 'em ups. And and we got F and Steve here. What's up, Steve? Good to see you this evening. Saying, is that your cosplay wizard robe? I'm assuming he's talking about this. This is I got this at WonderCon. It's my Jedi robe. And the same time I got this robe, I also got my lightsabers here. And so I was wearing it. It was I called it impromptu cosplay because I wasn't planning on it. And I had people coming up hey, can I take a picture with you? I'm just wearing my regular clothes, but I got a Jedi robe on and I got my lightsabers. So I was like, yeah, sure. So yeah, it's a bit too warm for it, but I do I like wearing it when it gets colder. So it's my Jedi robe. Good to see you, Steve. So as for any specific special arcade memories, I do have a couple. The first time I think I ever played an arcade game was I was visiting my cousins who lived in an apartment complex, and they didn't have a laundry machine in their apartment. It was like one of those like group ones. Like the apartment complex had its own laundromat, but you had to like, take your laundry over to wherever the laundry room was for the apartment complex. And in that laundry room, they had an arcade cabinet for, it was Mario Bros. 1 or 2. It was one of the original ones. It was like the NES version of the game, but it didn't require any quarters. So we could just play it as much as we wanted. So I remember going over and playing that. Probably spent quite a few hours one day just playing that, kind of taking turns. So I do remember that. And I was, I don't know, pretty young, like maybe like 5 or 6. But I do remember that, as I'd totally forgotten about that until Jason mentioned, any arcade memories as well. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. So I'd remember that. So, Jason, do you have any special arcade memories?
Oh man, I'll try to keep it.
Your idea?
Yeah. I'll try to keep it. It's not as many because I can probably talk for another like hour about it.
I do have one more.
Yeah. So one for sure is I was lucky enough where my grandparents they actually owned an arcade. So again, this is why I was in them. Yeah. So that's why I was.
That's awesome.
I have so many moments and memories. It's because it was the 90s. Everybody was trying to get that kind of stuff, and they were easy to rent and for people that had buildings to do it. So we would get these pink quarters, and we only had a certain amount that we can use for each month. So anytime I was there, I'd be like, cool, I got a pink quarter, I can give them play. The reason why they're pink is because when the guy comes to take the money out of each machine, they would give us the pink ones back because they want us to play them to try the machines out, make sure they're working. But obviously cool. the people that are the companies that need the actual money, they would take the real quarters because obviously they're trying to make money as well. But pretty much when any of the quarters would like run out and everything, I would just go to a machine and I would just watch the intro over and over and pretend that I'm playing, and I'm just sitting there. There's certain games that if I hear the opening crawl to of a machine, I can hear it in my sleep, or like the X-Men. Yeah, like the X-Men 6, the 6-player machine. As soon as I hear the ship crawl, I'm like, I can hear the whole like the whole intro and everything like that.
I played that one once. I remember that was a popular one.
Yeah, or the Colossus yell that everybody memes to the death now. But yeah, like back then where you could hear that from one side of the room because how loud it was, or when you would walk by an arcade and KI was so damn loud because they wanted people to go and see it because it was something new, they would turn the machine up that loud so it would try to overpower all the other machines because like what's this thing that's being loud? I gotta go check this out. But yeah. Beaten.
Given that it sounds like you have quite a lot of time in the arcades, did you ever do any of like the tricks of like tying like string around your quarter so you could pull it back out?
No, those never worked. No, those never really worked. Yeah, I mean, people say it does. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
No, my friends and I tried it, and quite frankly, the thing is that as soon as you drop it and pull it back, literally the string would just go boop, and the quarter would be like fall loose.
Oh,
it never worked.
Yeah,
we tried it the single way, like you would see like in the cartoons, right? Just one thing wrapped around, and then you tried like the other. It just doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Then people are like, "Oh, use fishing line because it's stronger and it's smaller." It's like, no, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
No.
Okay,
but,
I was curious. I've heard all these, these urban legends, but I'd never actually tried them.
It almost makes me think there's like a weight system. So like when the quarter goes in, there's like a little bit of a plate or something that like maybe shifts. I don't know because
there's a button. There's a button that hits. So when it goes all the way through, it pushes the button in and out, and then when it comes back out, that's when it gives you the credit. So that's why sometimes if you put a quarter in, like I'm sure you see, if you put a quarter in, and you push really, really hard. Sometimes it would register as 2 because the quarter hit it on the way out twice, and it registers as 2. So I guess that's the trick, but it doesn't always work. But you can put it in there and just like slam it, and then sometimes it'll register as 2. Not always, but it has
Well,
worked.
I had my experience as a kid that there were actually machines that if you didn't actually give it enough force, it wouldn't actually register. So like it was like you lost it.
Yep.
And so it was one of those things that you always knew that machine, you're like going, okay, this is the one I got to give a little extra a little bit, rub a little extra funk on it, and like you would like shoot it down there.
Yep.
And yeah, it would it would work, but no, it was the good old days. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Were you done?
No, you're good. No, I like that. Like, no, because I love hearing everybody else's. Because I mean, I know what my experiences are, but like if I say something that sparks, one that you had the same thing, I'm like, that's awesome because
Yeah,
that's how I always felt in arcades. Like you're in a place full of these people that want to play games, and it didn't matter who we were. Like I have seen people getting beaten up in arcades. Again, I was a fighting game guy, so I have seen people, like said on Marvel, there's tricks where you can freeze the machine. So you can literally take somebody's quarter if you do something to people. They were never happy about that. So it was always interesting seeing somebody go do a trick on something and just walk away, and the machine would just freeze and hard reset. And then everybody would lose their money because the machine's resetting, and you're not technically supposed to do that, but it was the wild west of video games back then. No one's going to really tell you to get out and leave because the arcade operator wants your quarters. And
I could definitely see that be a cause for starting a fight. That would definitely.
Oh yeah, sense. Yeah. There was fights, and it was fun.
No, I did it. So again, went to the same arcade as a kid when we were younger. So when we first started, it was quarters, right? You'd go to the machine. And then as I got older, it switched to tokens. So like, and I don't understand how they changed the system or what the weight difference was or whatever it was. But yeah, I think somewhere I still actually have a couple of those tokens. And this arcade has been shut down for probably the better part of, I think I was probably in my mid-20s when it shut down. So maybe even earlier than that. But no, it was an incredible experience. I can still hear the games too, which is crazy because like I said, I was talking about Hydro Thunder. When you would start the game and stuff like that, it'd be like Hydro Thunder. Like, and it just, I can still hear the voice in my head. I don't sound exactly like it, of course, but when you get your turbo and stuff like that, it'd be like, and it's like the sound, it's just so much fun. And then of course, Cruising USA. I can still hear, the flag girl, what she sounds like, because I dumped hours into these games, and it was so much fun. And I don't know, I still have the visuals, but I think a lot of us do for all that kind of stuff. So,
my good buddy, a rocker dude is in chat saying we had a full size NBA Jam machine. It was awesome. Yeah, I remember. I didn't play a whole lot of NBA Jam, but most of my time at the arcade was spent watching other people play the games. But I remember watching a lot of NBA Jam, and He's on Fire from downtown.
Yes, I remember that. You would hear that from like around the corner, be like, "Oh, he's on fire."
So, and then Christian Frates is here as well, saying hi. What's up, Christian? Good to see you tonight, buddy.
It's somewhere in my golf bag, but I have an old Aladdin's Castle arcade token still.
Okay, I was going to say, what are you rummaging around?
Yeah,
for
no, I have an Aladdin's. I have an Aladdin's Castle actual token in there. I used to use that as when I was golf. I mean, I golfed in high school. I golfed in college. I used to use that as my ball marker for when I was putting, just because.
Okay.
I always had one. And when they shut the arcade, I'm like, well, I have this one token. What should I do with it? And that's what you do with it. So I was looking for it. And it's in there somewhere, but I have to find it.
Yeah, no, kind of the same thing. I think I had one that was kind of like left over, or one or two or something like that. And I actually have a box of coins that my grandfather collected when he was starting. And because the arcade shut down and it was kind of a big deal to me, I took that token and I put it in that. And that coin collection that my grandfather, has collected from around the world.
Yep.
So, Carl, anything else about arcades that you want to touch on?
I got nothing.
All right.
Got nothing.
One other
Carl,
memory.
Try to touch on it.
One other memory.
I didn't grow up with arcades. It's just just me listening to a bunch of boomers wax poetic. I guess that's what it would be.
Wow.
I mean, there's the new ones now. I mean, have you ever been to like Dave and Buster's or any of the newfangled ones or anything like that?
I don't leave my house except to work.
There you go.
No, that's not true. I'm just not like how can I say this? Once I turned 22, going out and drinking and doing stuff like that just lost its appeal to me. Once it became legal, as they would say.
Yeah, I went to Dave and Buster's once, and it was like, and they had a Guitar Hero there, and I was like, oh, I'll be able to kick this thing's butt because I'm really good at Guitar Hero. But it had been like a couple of years since I'd played Guitar Hero, so I loaded up a game, went straight to expert, and I failed. I'm like, I feel like an idiot.
Those old or the newer ones, but those Guitar Hero controllers, they were sucked on the arcade cabinet. I think they're like the wire was bad. Like, yeah, because I was the same way. I'm like, I'm decent at this. I can still play at home. And I tried it. I was like, why does the strum bar feel weird? No. Yeah, I agree. There's something with it.
It was me on that one just because I was really rusty because it'd been so long since I'd played it. But one other, this wasn't really an arcade thing, but it was arcade adjacent. I was at probably my favorite theme park in my area here growing up. It's about 2 hours away in the Bay Area. And it was it's still there, but it's called something else now because it was when my dad talks about it, he calls it Marriott's. But when I was a kid, it was Paramount's Great America. And it's now something else, but I think they retained the Great America name.
Six Flags?
I don't think it ever got bought by Six Flags, but I could be wrong about that.
Six Flags Great America? That's what it's called.
It is Six Flags now?
That's by us. I think over there, I think that's just because of us. I think the Midwest had a lot of Six Flags stuff, but a lot of like Great America stuff were actually different all over the place.
Yeah, I don't believe it got bought by Six Flags, but it might have. But I know it's not Paramount's Great America anymore. But they had a lot of great roller coasters because it was owned by Paramount. They had one of the roller coasters was Top Gun, and you actually, it was one where you hung in it, like the rail that you were on is above you.
It was over rail.
Yeah, and your feet are dangling. It was a really cool roller coaster.
Over rail.
But I was there with my uncle one time. And it was it was in the summer and like the middle of the week, so there was like literally no one there. We got to ride like every roller coaster we wanted to multiple times without getting off because there was literally nobody in line. It was one of the greatest like roller coaster days I've ever had. And they had a VR experience, and it was one of my favorite games from the time. So I was like, I never played the versus mode in this game. I'd only played the single player, but it was a VR one of Star Wars Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight. And you got in this like little ring thing so you don't actually go like walking off, but you had little like remote controls. It wasn't like an actual like N64 controller or anything. It was like specifically for this device. You wore a headset and you looked around instead of using your joysticks. And my uncle was terrible because he's like never held a video game controller before in his life. But I had the time of my life playing one of my favorite games at the time in VR in basically what was an arcade sort of setup. And it was really cool.
I do have a kind of a question for everybody because VR has been around for quite a while. Are you guys kind of surprised that VR didn't take off more?
Yeah.
Because
I understand it though, because of the
I do.
A lot of it is like it's very what's the term? But it can be very expensive because you need a beefy enough PC to run it, and then you need the whole headset get up on top of that and the space to do it.
It's kind of clunky.
Yeah, I still see that it has it. It's going to get better and better. So I still see that it will get bigger. But yeah, I figured it would be bigger than it is at this point in time.
Yeah, no, I kind of did too. And but yeah, Jason, if you're going to say something.
No, I mean, I could be. This is just my take on it, and I could be completely wrong. But this is how I look at it. So for a reason why I don't think VR for game works as much as people think it does is because, to me, gaming is a very social thing. And when you put a VR headset on, you become very isolated. So I think, and then you also become more of a, like it takes like if I wanted to play a game right now on my PlayStation, I just turn on and play it. If I wanted to play it on a VR, I have to put a headset on. I have to make sure the space is open. I have to do this. I have to do that. So like you have to do multiple things to make sure everything is all ready to go instead of just sit down, turn the thing on, and play. And then also, if somebody wanted to play on this, it's just like, cool, I got a message on here to do it. Granted, you could do the same thing on a VR, but if somebody walked into the room and be like, hey, you want to play with me? You could do that. On a VR, you can't really do that. Granted, you can see your avatar or whatever and anything like that, but I think it takes the social aspect out of it, and you just become just this random avatar where you're still at least a person on the system, or you're a face with a voice on the other end, like it's been since the 2000s. But that's how I look at it. Again, I could be wrong, but that's just when I see a VR, that's how I look at it.
Carl.
I'm sorry, my wife was messaging me. What'd you say, Jason? I'm so sorry.
Oh, I was just saying, like, I think gaming is more a social thing. So when you put a VR headset on, it becomes more personal, and I think that's one of the reasons why that VR for gaming to me doesn't take off as much. There's more to do to play VR in a game than it is just I want to play a game right now. Let's go.
Yeah, I think for VR and stuff like that, the reason why it's a turnoff to so many people is because it's super expensive, and on top of that too, like for people like me, it just makes me sick. That's just really what it is.
That's a whole another aspect. Yeah, people getting the motion sickness.
Yeah, I can't even play Astro's Playroom or Astrobot's Rescue on the PlayStation VR. I bought it. No, I bought the VR. I got it for Christmas. I was so excited to play it, and then as soon as I started playing it, I just got sick. So I don't know the technology. Like I'm sure it will get better one day, but the problem is that they need to find a way to make it super cheap, and they need to make it like get over that hump of just like sickness. And I think with a lot of these VR units, at least when it's more connected to something like the PlayStation units are with like wires and stuff, it's a big turnoff, So even if they found like they have multiplayer games that are in VR, and I don't know, they just don't look interesting. That's another big thing too. It's like most of them just don't look interesting. They look like, have you ever seen the TV show Reboot? It looks like Reboot, the VR video game. It's just.
I liked that show as a kid. Although the thing that was my favorite was the same art style, but was Beast Wars. That was like my favorite.
Oh, Beast Wars was great. Yeah.
I love that show.
Yeah, I didn't mean to derail it. I was just kind of wondering.
No, you're good.
Because like 3D televisions and also 3D movie theater experiences have kind of done the same thing. They've gone away.
Yeah,
it's not a massive thing, and I think those are a lot of great points.
My biggest issue with the whole 3D thing was it wasn't really 3D, in my opinion. What they did was, when you're talking 3D, you're expecting stuff to jump off the screen at you, and it didn't do that. All it did was like it put like depth into the screen.
Yeah.
So you could like see into the screen, but nothing ever came out of the screen at you. And that was my biggest thing of like why 3D was pointless.
Yeah, no, it literally the same thing. Like literally, so like my iPhone 14, which is like not that old, it adds depth to it because I put a picture of something on it. So like where the clock sits, they actually put it behind the fact, like adding depth to it. But it's like it's not
It's a novelty.
It's a novelty. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think that's why they're not.
Am I the only one roboting, or is Ryan roboting?
It sounded good to me.
Everybody sounds good.
That sound good.
Oh, everyone's roboting on my end. It must be on my end.
It must be
Sorry.
you. No worries. So, last thing before.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Nah, no worries. The last thing before we move on to our next topic here, Christian said that he loved the X-Men arcade game. I think that's when we were talking about a minute ago. I think it was the 6-player
Arm Champs.
And Arm Champs. Is that the arm wrestling one?
It is.
I never did that one, but I remember seeing it a couple times.
Yeah.
I don't think I know that one.
Yeah, you actually arm wrestled a mechanical arm.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And then the boss is a robot that is pretty I mean, it's all tension in the arm. I only beat it by taking my left arm and cheating, but it's pretty ridiculous.
It sounds like a broken arm waiting to happen because it's a machine.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, and then before we do change subjects, I forgot that you were out that far west, so I'm really, really jealous that you got all the really cool arcades back in the 90s, because there's like like every arcade that for fighting games and everything like that, like your goal was to try to be really good and then go to California because that's where all the good players were. So like there was like Family Fun Arcade and all that stuff. Like that was the goal, is to make it out there and test how good you actually were. So I'm kind of jealous that you just could, maybe a 4-hour drive or 3-hour drive that you could have actually been involved with those kind of people.
And while we're on the topic of arcades, everyone's favorite movie back then was The Wizard, right?
In a way, yeah.
I never actually even saw that movie until probably like after college. But it's classic. You don't know that movie, Ryan?
Well, I don't think so. I might.
It was like a kid's dream to be like, go to like a video game competition and show everybody how good they were. And it was about, it was what was his name?
Fred Savage.
Savage.
Yeah.
Although he wasn't the one, it was his little brother, right? That was who was ridiculously good at the Mario Bros. I think it was, and they made the Power Glove look so cool in that movie.
Yeah,
and the Power Glove.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember that. Okay,
that's
sorry.
when we saw Mario 3 for the very first time.
Yeah, yeah. I was actually 3.5 when that movie came out.
So, all right, Carl, you back? Everything good on your end?
Yeah, everyone doesn't sound like they're trying to take over the world, so we're good.
What you like to?
All right.
Oh no, what's happening?
Next up on the agenda here, switching to our next topic. This one was not actually on my list of questions that I built. This is something that just like popped into my head the other night. I'm like, that would make a great party chat question. So I threw it on the agenda. And so curious to hear from each of you, if you could only play games that started with all the games have to start with the same letter, what letter would you pick of which games you would play? So I was like, oh, it just popped in my head. I don't even remember why. It was like, oh, that's a great party chat question. So curious to hear from you guys. I bet Carl and I might have the same answer, but if you guys know me, you probably already know what my answer is going to be. But curious to hear from you guys what your letter would be of what games you would choose to play going forward.
I could go first because this isn't hard. Mine's going to be S because it's literally going to be Star Wars. Everything Star Wars. Like,
okay.
I'd be down. I mean, and Neo knows this. I've talked about it way too many times, so we're not gonna beat a dead horse. Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic 2 are some of my favorite games of all time. I've played a lot of the other Star Wars games, and quite frankly, I am a massive Star Wars fan. I mean, I literally played the original Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace computer game. And
Jason talked about that on Top 5 Star Wars games.
Yeah, so
that's the greatest game out there of all time. The Episode 1 Choose Your Own Adventure game.
I love
Choose Your Own Adventure.
Jokes aside,
I've only played it for a few minutes at a friend's house, so I don't know the details.
My journey starts with Star Wars, so it's always going to be Star Wars
games. That's definitely a choice. But what other S games would be in your that you'd want to play? Yeah,
Silent Hill, Super Mario. It's
you get San Francisco Rush.
San Francisco Rush. Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, those ones are the most solid to me. So they all start with S. Obviously, I could probably go into other things. If I picked L, it'd be The Legend of Zelda. I remember playing the original Legend of Zelda. I had the gold cartridge for the NES, but I have to go with S because it starts with my favorite franchise, Star Wars.
Nice, good, definitely good pick. Jason, what was it looks like you were nodding along. Is the S also your letter?
So yes and no. So S because it has one of the most, if not the most games in that thing as it is. I mean, there's like Samurai Showdown, Super Street Fighter, like I can go down. Super. Exactly, like Super Metroid. I mean, there's so many games that way. So I put S as just like my cop-out answer, but my real answer, because I like if I had to sit down and choose like several games, it hurts because there's not a lot of fighting games in it. But I chose R because I get all my Resident Evils. I get Rogue Legacy, which I love Rogue Legacy.
I heard good things about that.
Yeah, it's so much fun. I get R-Type. R-Type's another good shoot up.
I had
Yeah.
R-Type DX on Game Boy Color. That
Yeah.
was probably my first shmup, and I beat it, but it was really difficult because the Game Boy couldn't handle it couldn't generate all the sprites that it needed to, and on the final boss, it would literally shoot invisible bullets at you. They were there, but you couldn't see them, so I just died for no reason. I had to learn how to dodge invisible shots in order to beat that game.
Yep. Yeah. So like, there's that one. I get Rock Band. I'm a huge Rock Band fan. As we all know, why the only reason why I still have an Xbox is because I have way too much money in that game for that. The fighting game I get that I would love to see a revival of. I get Rival Schools. Rival Schools is a lot of fun.
Wait, what game was that?
It's called Rival Schools. It's a 3D fighter by Capcom. Yeah, it's a 3D fighter by Capcom that you play these kids that are in these different schools, and they just, fight each other, and that's what they are. So like, you get a kid with a baseball bat, you get a kid with, good at this kind of stuff. Returnal. That's a really, really fun game.
I bought that when it went on sale not that long ago. I haven't played it yet, but I'm very much looking forward to playing that. It looks like a great game.
Hold on, I wrote a couple more. Rock Band. I think there's a couple more that I have that I know that I'm missing. But those were like the ones that if I had to choose instead of just like the gigantic list of everything in S, because S has like Spider-Man, it has, like I said, all the super, anything with super in it. Like, there's just so much with that letter S. I'm like, I'll give myself a little bit more and just go with R, just to make it, a little bit more trimmed down a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, no, great list of games there. So time to find out. Carl, do you and I have the same letter?
You know what? I'll let you go first.
Okay. So curious from you guys if you know what my letter would be.
M.
Yes.
M.
It is M. And that is because of Mass Effect, Metroid, and Mega Man. 3 of my favorite franchises, all in the same letter. And I think that's actually why I thought of it, because I was thinking about, I love Mass, because I've been playing, like I said earlier, Mega Man. I've been playing a lot of Mega Man lately. And it's like Metroid and Mass Effect all start with M. I was like, you know what? That'd be a great question for Party Chat, is if you could only play games from a certain letter, what would it be? So let's see here. I did write a few others down, but those are the big ones and the reason for this question. A couple other games that would be in M is, I know it's not a very big one, but I do love this game, and it's Mark of the Ninja. That's a great stealth 2D platformer game. That would include all of the Metal Gear games. Not that I've played any of them except for Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, but that's a great game.
Really
so that's why I put it on the list. The Middle Earth games, Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, those are great games. I love those. The Mirror's Edge games are both fantastic. The second one got a lot of hate, but I really enjoyed it as well. I loved that they went with the more open world aspect. I thought that added a cool dynamic to the game. The Messenger and the Mummy Demastered, which are both sprite-based 2D Metroidvanias of the last 6. I don't know when they both came out, but they're both fairly recent, and they are both pretty great Metroidvanias. I do like both of those a lot, and so those are some of. I'm sure I could probably come up with some others, but that was the list of M games that I came up with that I think make a great list for the letter M.
And then I don't want to spoil anything, Carl, because I think it might be the same letter too. But then you also get the Metal Slug series.
Yes. Did I? I swear I wrote that down.
You probably did. You might have missed
I wrote it down on something else I was writing down. Metal Slug. I do love the Metal Slug game.
Metal Slug series so good.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Oh, absolutely. And then you also get probably, again, like I said, why Carl's is probably the same one, but you also get the Monster Hunter franchise.
I will just get you over there.
Not M. Interesting.
But it's not. But then you get the Monster Hunter franchise as well, which is really, really good too.
Yeah. Carl loves Monster Hunter. I've not played any Monster Hunter, but I'm sure I would like it if I did get into them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, if you ever want to do it, just let me know.
So, yeah, I was writing down Metal Slug. I remember I was writing it for something. I don't remember what it was, though. What else would I have been writing it down for other than Party Chat? So,
and maybe you're going to play them. That'd be pretty sick to play.
I don't have it written down, but I remember I was just writing it. Oh, I know what it was. It's for a future episode of Top 5. That's what I was writing Metal Slug down for.
There you go.
So I was making some notes for a future episode of Top 5. That's why I was writing Metal Slug, and I forgot to add that to my list of M games. That I haven't played all the Metal Slug games, but I do love that franchise.
They're so fun. They're so fun.
So, Carl, what letter? If it's not M, because I figured you'd probably pick M as well. So I'm curious what your letter is.
It's obviously going to be P.
P. Oh, Persona.
Persona, Pokemon, Pikmin, Phoenix Wright. Got a murderer's row there. You can't forget the old school Doom clone PO'd.
I don't know about that one.
It's where you play as a chef in outer space and you fight aliens with a frying pan.
That reminds me of was it last party chat we were talking about? And I brought up Chex Quest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because Ryan was here for that, and he was like, "What? I didn't know about this."
Yeah.
But yeah, that reminds
I'll
me.
say the only ones I really know about that one is really Pokemon. So Pokemon, I say it wrong. Sorry, not a fan.
No, you're fine. You also are forgetting games like Psychonauts, Portal, and of course Prototype.
Prototype. Oh, I love Prototype. I never played the second one, but I did love the first one.
You also had Project Gotham Racing, Prince of Persia.
Oh, okay, Prince of Persia. I feel you.
Prince of Persia, good.
You also have Prey.
Prey.
And
did you? Because I know you were a big fan of the recent one, right?
Me, no.
No. Okay.
That
was my buddy.
I was the one who actually liked the 2016 remake of
2017. Because I've heard a lot of good things about it.
It's a good game, but from what you guys actually, because I was actually the one that brought it up. I feel like a little while ago. It's not the same game.
No, there's basically no correlation other than it's got the same name. My buddy, my best friend, Razik, he was playing it. He just played through it for the first time recently. He's like, yeah, it's a really good game. I've heard good things. It is in my backlog. I do plan to play it, but I did play the original Prey, and I think I just recently bought it. It might have been before the 360 store shut down. It is backwards compatible, but I played it way back, and I loved that game. So I'm assuming, Carl, did you play the original Prey in 2006?
I did for a little bit, but I got to replay. It's been a while.
Yeah, I like that game a lot.
Yeah, but it's also, you got the Panzer Dragoon series too, which you can't forget. Very near and dear to my heart. I actually just beat Orta recently this year. That was a fun game.
Yeah, I know you got a special place both in your heart and on your shelf for Panzer Dragoon.
Yeah.
You also get Peggle. You get Peggle, which is one of my favorites, and Parappa the Rapper.
Don't forget Plants vs. Zombies.
Zombies.
And then one more. There's one more that starts with P. The Paper Mario games.
Oh, Paper Mario. Okay.
Paper Mario.
Jason, what was it that you just said?
Oh, he gets Phantasy Star Online, which was
Phantasy Star.
One of my favorites too.
Yeah. So I think you were gonna go with M, and that was a close one, but I'm like, P's not that bad either.
That's a great list of games as well.
So I just let you get it out of the way, and I was like, I'll surprise you.
Yeah, well, good surprise. Yeah, I figured, given how much we're both how big of fans we both are of Mass Effect, I figured that we'd probably both go with M. But I know that you're not as big on like Metroid and Mega Man as I am, so I was like, he might go with a different letter because I know how much he loves Mass Effect. That might not be enough to dissuade him from some other letter, and that was the case. So
I mean, you got Mass Effect, you got Mad Maestro, Mr. Mosquito, Monster Rancher, Monster Hunter.
Monster Rancher games. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but I know how much you love those games.
Yeah, so I was just like, there's a lot of M's there, so I was like, I'll let Neo have this one because he's going to be very obvious.
Yep. No surprise here from anyone who knows me. But yeah, Ryan, when you're saying it a second ago, because I'm not even big on Pokemon. I know most of Gen 1, but that's about it. But it still bugs me when people say like Pokemon. No, it's not Pokemon, it's Pokemon.
Or as our friend Angry Canadian goes, Pokemon. Pokemon.
So, and then just like similarly, I don't know anything about this franchise, but it still annoys me when people say it wrong and they say Naruto. It's Naruto. That still bugs me too, even though I don't even know anything about the franchise.
Weeb.
I just know it's how to pronounce it correctly.
Listen to this, weeb. Yeah, I bet you eat ramen too, don't you, weeb?
I do love ramen.
Ramen's good.
Okay, what kind of ramen?
It's cheap and easy.
Kind of ramen. If it's a spicy ramen, like you get from Korea,
I just get the Nissan. It's like Nissan.
You buy the American version?
Yeah, probably.
Sir.
So Yeah, I mean, just because ramen noodles, but like anything has a little spice. But if you add a protein to it and you add whatever you want, I'm a fan of no egg. I just don't care for egg that much. I think that's why so when people put egg in it, yeah, but everybody does that. They're like, why don't you do the egg? And I'm like, I just don't care for egg as much. So when I see a big hunking egg in my noodles, I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah, I wouldn't want an egg in my noodles, but if it's like egg noodle, then I'm more okay with that.
The egg's the best part, guys.
That's
I
what
know.
people
I
say.
don't
That's what
know.
people say.
Where's a protein, gentlemen?
I get protein out of noodles.
Just
I
put
mean,
it-
I guess you could. You
just
could
put
do
a
like-
meat in there. Just put a
Yeah,
little
you put
steak or a
meat
little
in there
pork.
instead.
Put a little steak, a little pork. I don't
Hey,
care.
you're selling me.
Get a nice fish cake in there. Yum.
And Devastator showing up in chat saying howdy, everyone. Good evening, Devastator. Good to see you there, buddy. Hope you're having a good evening. So, all right. Well, that one, great chat. Much quicker than the arcade talk that went almost an hour.
I apologize.
No worries. It was a great topic. So
It was arcade / Brendan Fraser talk.
It was.
So, all right. So, next question on the agenda here is one that we pushed off from last week because we ran out of time. And curious to hear from each of you guys what you think a game that was held back by the technology of the time and it would have been much better, had we had more powerful technology. So, yeah, curious from everyone if they, have anything in mind.
So I misread the question, I guess.
Oh, okay.
I misread as like I didn't read it as like held back. So some of my answers that I written down, I just wrote down like if we had like a remake or if we had them now, how great would they be? So I guess I have one that I can say, but I put like the obvious two answers would be Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger. I mean, if we had them look even better now today, how amazing that would be. That's just what I would think. And then I also, I'm not the biggest Souls fan, but I know how bad the loading is for Bloodborne. How amazing it would be to have Bloodborne on a PS5 with no loading.
Okay, I hear about that one a lot.
Would be pretty sick. But I guess the one game I guess we can put is I put Bushido Blade. If there could be a Bushido Blade now, man, that would be really, really cool.
I never played it, but I do know that it, because of its existence, one of my favorite Star Wars games exist, and that's Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy. It was basically based on Bushido Blade. So, yeah, great pick. Let's see here. You mentioned Chrono Trigger. I know that is at the top of a lot of people's RPG lists of like top RPGs of all time. Although, if you were to, I don't know, bring it forward in any sort of way, I know there'd probably be a lot of purists who'd get hate from you, no matter how good it is. They'd probably be like, no, just leave it alone. It's perfect the way it is in its 16-bit glory. I never played it since it wasn't really my thing. But Final Fantasy, which you said Final Fantasy VI?
Yeah.
Okay. That was the last one before it went to PlayStation, right?
Yep.
Okay, because I was going to say Final Fantasy VII. I know obviously we got the remake not too long ago, but if they did Final Fantasy VII, the original one, just with like updated textures, although I know that there was an HD remake, but I don't know what.
Yeah,
exactly
there's texture. Yeah, there's textures updates for 7, so that's been done.
Okay, so that already exists. Okay, that I wasn't sure because I knew it existed, but I didn't know exactly to what extent they changed the game on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, the first thing I thought of is, these were hugely popular games back in the day, and I love them to death, but they are, as with most games from this era, a lot of them haven't aged very well. And if we, and I'm not saying that if it came out now, it would be just as big, because it probably wouldn't be, but if we could have had the games back then when they launched, and basically everything was the same, but it looked like, with today's like updated graphics, how even much more I would be in love with GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. A lot of those for early polygonal graphic games did not look very great. We thought they looked great back at the time. That was because 3Ds. This is so cool and bright and shiny. looking back, it's like these games do not look well. So updating, if we had better graphics on those back in the day, it would just make them that much better. So that was, I don't know if that was the inspiration for this question, or someone, I don't remember where this question came from, but that was the first thing that I thought it was GoldenEye and Perfect Dark, because I still love those games, but having those with better textures, upgraded graphics would just be fantastic. So, either you guys, Carl or Ryan, have anything that you thought was maybe held back by the technology of the time?
So I will say, for me, because this was one I came up with, the more I've been playing retro games, the more I'm realizing I hate kind of the early control schemes for a lot of games, especially tank controls.
I was just going to say tank controls.
So it's just now, like, I'm playing games like Mega Man Legends, Onimusha, Dino Crisis, and
I never played Mega Man Legends, but I just saw a video recently that was talking about they need to remake it because turn is not your joystick, it's your triggers.
No, it's your bumpers.
Oh,
and I hate it
terrible.
so much. I hate it so much. Yeah. So that's basically what it is. It's just those were made before the joysticks. It had to be it had to be bumpers, because the original PlayStation 1 controller did not have joysticks. Everyone,
right?
Just for some memory out there. So it's basically looking at some games, like the tank controls in Onimusha are workable comparatively speaking, because it was a PS2 one. But like a lot of the PS1 tank controls, like especially for Dino Crisis and Mega Man Legends, those are the two I really bring up a lot, is if they were given a modern control scheme, even if it's just like a remaster, like they just update the graphics and keep pretty much everything else the same. Like that's what these really need. And especially like a game like Dino Crisis, it's scary, but it could be a lot scarier if that dinosaur is like really just charging at you, making you jump around and run. It doesn't work as well, I think, with like tank controls for Resident Evil work a lot better because they're zombies. It's like they're supposed to be slow and stupid, and then you get the crazier ones later on, but that's neither here nor there. But it's like, I want this raptor to like just be up my butt like a tick. All right, I want to know the fear that I have to run for my life because this thing is going to eat me.
Yeah, tank control is definitely a good answer. Oh shoot, I was just gonna say something about. Oh, when you mentioned updated control schemes, that made me think of. It took a while to get used to it, but it was very weird control scheme, and I've never seen anything, almost nothing, use a similar one to this day. And that was the Metroid Prime games on GameCube. Fantastic games. Controls were really, really weird. The closest thing was the other GameCube game I played recently was Star Fox Adventures. Had a very similar, at least when you're on foot, had a very similar control scheme to Metroid Prime. But they did obviously remaster Metroid Prime not that long ago and made it play like a more modern first-person shooter. And the updated controls were fantastic. It was already a great game. That was just a nice touch playing that with the updated control scheme. It was annoying, though, when I went back to playing the GameCube version for retro achievements, and that wasn't an option. I had to go back to playing it with the original GameCube controls. I was like, I hate that I can't play it with the updated controls. But I'm glad that the Metroid Prime Remaster exists with those updated controls, because they are great.
Yeah, it's just basically a lot of games with terrible controls that were good, like Ultimate Spider-Man, or pretty much a lot of the Spider-Man games just have really wonky controls, and especially on the GameCube. So
yeah, I've played Web of Shadows a couple times lately for specific achievements I needed for the True Achievements is doing a trick or treat event. So a couple of Web of Shadows achievements popped up, and going back and playing that for the first time in years, I'm like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing here, because these controls are not what I would expect. So they make sense once you get used to them, but yeah, they could probably be better. But I haven't played the new one, like the PlayStation ones, but I'm assuming that they are a lot better in those ones. I know you could talk to that, Carl, because I know that I think you played both of them, right?
I played all three of them.
All three of them, yeah.
Yeah.
The controls in those ones are pretty good, I assume.
Oh yeah, they're really damn good, actually.
Okay. Ryan, did you have anything?
I did. I had one. It is the biggest travesty in gaming history. From the I'm trying to make a joke and it's not working.
Oh,
From
okay.
the Atari 2600, E.T. the
I
Extraterrestrial.
thought that's where you were going with that.
No. I kid. Literally, because that is the worst game in the history of gaming. We might have new contenders from this year.
Comic book.
Superman 64. I still think it's the worst.
Oh, that one's up there for one of the worst games of all time. Never played it. I remember reading about it. I'm like, this looks cool. I want to play it. I never did. And then I heard how terrible it was.
My pick is Dino Crisis because I think Dino Crisis was an incredible game. It was very well written. The controllers were not great. I'm sorry, the controls were not great. But the thing is, though, is that the graphics, if you would update the graphics to what we have now, that would make the experience go from, I mean, what was it rated at the time? It was a big hit. It was a big hit, but it would be huge. It would.
I thought it was M for mature.
It was, yeah. It was rated M for mature, but like it would be huge in today's world.
That's often what I see people say, like, bring a franchise back. It's often Dino Crisis is up there at the top of the list.
Well,
yeah, as a big Resident Evil fan, Dino Crisis, I like Dino Crisis as well. But the reason why and it sold so well that it did is unfortunately, it came with the Resident Evil 3 demo that no one had a chance to play. So just that alone made sales go a little bit more. I know people that just bought Dino Crisis, never played the game just because they wanted the demo.
That's exactly why I bought Crackdown for the Halo 3 beta, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
Crackdown was a great game.
Yeah, so that's why the sales on it were so high compared to like what they actually are. That's why if you look at like the Dino Crisis 2 sales chart, like that's what it could have been. Because again, 1 is fine, and again, I think 1, like to what you guys both said, would be great because Capcom's got their own engine. They make Monster Hunter, so they know how to make dinosaurs.
They have
and
raptors
2,
already made in it too.
Exactly. And then 2, they have a character from Resident Evil 4 in Leon that's actually like an action star that they can make Regina, who was supposed to be this big badass, character. You can make it third person, and you can do like if a raptor attacks, you can kind of parry attack and make it kick it in the face, kind of do those things instead of just the random little raptor attacks their arm and you just have to struggle to pull it off, kind of like if a zombie, was biting you and you're trying to push it off. So I agree. I would love to see a Dino Crisis, especially with what their engine is. Like their RE engine is so good.
It is.
I would love to see them mess with dinosaurs and their characters look good, but I don't know because again, Capcom's one of those weird people that will make money off of just like, these characters are good. We'll just make money off the characters. I hope that they will listen to more of their sheets that they send out, their polls, because a lot of people are asking for it too. But when what was the dinosaur game that just came out that I always forget?
Primal.
Thank you. When that came out, I was like, I think that's their Dino Crisis, and it's not even what it should be. So I'm afraid that's
not even close.
That's what we might get. Yeah, I'm afraid that's what we're gonna get. But I'm with both of you guys. I would love to see it happen. Absolutely love to see it happen.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Like I said, I feel like that game just needs to be, more up in your face. I mean, it's a raptor.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, like you do say, it's like it is kind of like limp wristed to see a raptor just grab your hand. You're like, just going back and forth. Let go of me, you silly raptor. It's like, no, come on, man. Let's get some more action here.
We saw Jurassic Park. We saw how many people these raptors killed. Make them scary.
Yeah. Never go.
So, all right. Let's see here. 144. All right. So next topic on the agenda. This was another. Last thing I mentioned before that. Carl, was that that was one of your suggestions for a topic? Was that right? Okay, that's why I was like, I don't remember where this came from. Sorry, I forgot to write that down. That last topic was one that Carl came up with and suggested for a topic. So sorry for potentially accidentally taking credit for that. I always like to give credit where it was due. So for the next one here was one that I just came up with the other day, and I was like, oh, that'd also be a great topic for Party Chat. And curious to hear what everyone's favorite video game sidekick is. So I'll go ahead and kick us off because you might be able to guess my answer based on I've mentioned this series of games a bunch just on this stream. The Mega Man franchise, I love it. I've been playing a lot of it, and this was the inspiration for the question because he's one of the coolest sidekicks in my opinion, and he's got his own series of games that have spun off because of it, and that is Zero. Zero from the Mega Man franchise is so freaking cool. I even back when I was a kid and I thought it was a chick, I still thought Zero was so freaking cool. And my buddy's like, "No, that's a dude." I'm like, "Oh, even better." So, he's so cool. He's got it's got his beam saber. He's just a great sidekick. He was somebody was asking about it on one of my streams recently about the like his origin. I was like, I don't really remember a lot of the details of the lore of Mega Man because I don't play Mega Man for the story. I played for the gameplay, but I'm pretty sure Dr. Wily created Zero, and then he was corrupted by Sigma, but then he broke free of his corruption and joined X to fight the Mavericks. But yeah, he spun off his own series of games, the Mega Man Zero games, and he's just really cool. I love Zero arguably more than Mega Man X. Both of them are just great characters. I love them both. So curious to hear from you guys who your favorite video game sidekicks are. Not everybody all at once.
No, so I had to choose between 3.
Okay. Go ahead and give us all 3 of them.
All right, I'll give you all 3. And then, obviously Resident Evil, one of my favorite franchises. My cat is actually named after her. So Ada Wong was one of mine on there.
Is that your cat? Your cat is Ada?
My cat's name is Ada because I was like,
nice.
But I think by looking at this, I think Tails, Miles Tail, I love yes, a lot of people don't care for Tails, but I like Tails more than Sonic. And I think that's how I have to kind of go with it. Like my other one would be Luigi as well. I like Luigi more than Mario. So Tails, Luigi, and Ada are the 3 I wrote. But if I had to choose between the 3, I think I'm choosing Tails.
Okay. Yeah. I always liked Tails too. Like I've often said on streams, I was never I was a Nintendo kid, so I've barely played any of the Sonic games. The little bit of Sonic I played was over at a friend's house who had a Genesis when I was a kid. But I always liked Tails because he could fly. I always thought that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
He
could fly, but he was a pilot.
Yeah, and I always wanted to be like we were talking about earlier. I want to be a pilot, so I like Tails a lot. And then as for Luigi, I totally get that. I grew really fast, so I was like always way taller than all my friends until they all caught up in high school. So I identified more with Luigi, being taller than Mario. So I get that. Obviously, I don't really have a lot of experience with the Resident Evil franchise, so I can't say much about Ada. But I do know that is a popular character. So good picks.
I can actually go next. So Luigi would definitely be one of mine because my journey started with, of course, Nintendo. It was, of course, the original Super Mario Brothers, then the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. Going into that, so Luigi was awesome. And it was just a great dynamic. As for understanding about naming your cat a certain thing, I have a cat. Her name's Rhaenyra. So we wonder where that came from. Yeah.
What's that? Is that Game of Thrones?
It's House of the Dragon, but yeah, Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's Rhaenyra Targaryen, and it fits. So anyway, but yeah, that being said, also at the same time, one of my favorites would actually, and I know that people are not going to probably be the favorite on this one, or they might. I don't know. But I liked from Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, I liked HK-47 because it's a play off of AK-47, which is literally, and he's like, meat bags. And it's just like, I loved it. He was such an insulting character. And, it was just so much fun, to have this assassin droid, Old Republic style be with you. So that was a great companion. And,
yeah, everybody loves HK. I know we've talked about that a few times.
Yeah, no, but a lot of people don't understand that it literally comes off, the AK-47 because he's an assassin. So why not name him similar to a real world style, firearm? And
one of the most numerous ones in the world, I believe.
Yeah, pretty much. This last one, in my opinion, was a little bit tough to make because it was based off romanticism off of three of my favorite franchises. It was either Ashley from Mass Effect, Liliana from Dragon Age, or Bastila from Knights of the Old Republic, literally made by all old BioWare. I had to go with Ashley because not only is she a romantic companion, but she is literally a strong woman type who actually is a combatant. She's a more complex character in my opinion because she starts out as being, yes, somewhat racist, and because of her father, like actual like alien races. And as she progresses through the Mass Effect storyline, she actually becomes somebody who's an incredible companion, but also her character progression is really good. So might be a little biased on that one, but yeah, I wanted to pick one that might be a little controversial on the last two.
That's a good pick. James would be proud if he was here, but I know he's streaming right now as well.
I got a whole breakdown for Ashley when I do the Mass Effect retrospective with Neo. That's going to be a good one. I guess I'll go.
Yeah.
I guess you could say the best sidekicks are dogs in video games. So
that's where this question originally originated. Although I think I've split that off to a separate party chat question, but
you got like dog meat from obviously Fallout 4, and then you got the dog from the Fable series. If you played the Fable series,
that's right. Oh yeah, dog meat was in Fallout 3 and Fallout 4.
Yeah, dog meat originated in 3, so
you got.
But he was in 4.
Yeah, you got options there. He's been in a bunch of things. Another one, you got to give it to the Coltrane, baby.
I was just pulling up a list right here, and Coltrane was on that list.
You got to give it to the Coltrane, man. He's your homie, especially when you're going through the supermarket. You get to see his football playing past, and then you could go get him saying a famous line, the Coltrane runs on whole grain.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, who doesn't love Coltrane? He's a fun character.
And then obviously we got to go with our boy from Mass Effect as well, Mr. Garrus Vakarian.
It's a very good one.
Yep.
Very, very good one.
I think. Oh, he was my answer on a previous episode of Party Chat when we were talking about best gaming bros. I think that was my answer. Was Garrus.
Yeah, there's a lot of memorable ones. But just to kind of keep it more relatively short, we got to go with our favorite rest in peace girl, Cortana.
Yep, that was on this list that I just pulled up as well.
Yeah, I got to go with some good old Cortana love right there.
She's very helpful.
Yes. So those are, I think, my favorite sidekicks right now. It's hard to think about. There's so many JRPG ones that you can think about, but that would be getting like real in-depth and obscure. I don't know. Did you ever do a top 5 sidekicks or side characters?
I do have it on my top 5 list of topics for top 5 is top 5 party members. So you'll definitely be able to go into depth on that one, assuming you want to be on that one.
Of course.
I figured. So, and Paul is here saying howdy. What's up, Paul? Good evening, buddy.
Hey, Paul.
Good to see you.
Power Couch Station.
Yeah, Power Couch. Man, I haven't heard that in a while. Yeah, I just pulled up a list just to see if there was anything that really jumped out. I mean, there's a few on here that I do like, but they're not as high up on the list as Zero for me. But one that's on here that I do have to give a shout out, right there, the fuzzy companion cube. Not really a sidekick, but it was on this list, and I just want to give it some love because I love Portal. So, yeah, Coltrane, great one. So, cool. All right, yeah, I look forward to maybe we haven't decided on our November topics for top 5 yet, so maybe we'll put that as one of our November topics as party members. I've been wanting to do that one for a while, so we'll talk afterwards and see. And we'll figure that out. So, all right. And then that'll bring us into our last topic for the night. And that is, as usual, our favorite game of whatever year. And this year is 1996. So, curious what each of your favorite games are from 1996.
Yeah, 96 was a weird year because it's the pretty much the end of, for me, the Super Nintendo, and I have my PlayStation, so I'm still getting games now for both systems. And the games that I got for the Super Nintendo now are super expensive because there was the not so many made of them. But then again, the ones on the PlayStation were always the early 3D, and you could tell that they were early kind of for the time kind of thing like that. So yeah, it's pretty fun seeing 96 as a year. So I wrote down a bunch. The fun thing about I always do this even when we do our top fives and everything like that. So in 96, approximately 716 games came out that year. So that was kind of interesting to see how many video games actually came out during that time for everything, arcade consoles and all that kind of stuff. So that made it very even more tricky to be like, wow, these games are ridiculous. But I'm just gonna go down the list, and if you have any memories or anything about the games, let me know. But Soul Edge was on my list for 96. Super Puzzle Fighter.
Soul Edge, that's the predecessor to Soul Calibur, right?
It is. That's the first one. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Soul Edge, Soul Blade, depending on which version you played, they're both the same. Super Puzzle Fighter.
Can I real quick? I just saw this up when I opened up Google. Sorry, guys. It literally says from 2 weeks ago, Games Radar, Dino Crisis is finally getting the resurrection it deserves, and it's still a blast. Proof that they're listening to us, but I hope that's true. So anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
Just
No,
is
that's good.
Dino Crisis getting revived then?
That's what it says, Games Radar.
Dino Crisis is on PlayStation right now, the PlayStation Network through the subscription.
Yeah, it says it's finally getting the resurrection it deserves. And
I just saw Kay post about that on X just like an hour ago. Apparently, it's locked. You can't actually buy the game. You can only access it through a PlayStation Network subscription.
Yeah, that's what makes it lame.
That is stupid.
I'm not surprised.
If they're bringing it back, I know so many people that are looking forward to that. Then, yeah. So I'm glad you pointed that out. So thank you for that, Ryan.
Yeah, I just saw it. It proves that Google's listening to us, by the way.
Yep.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I'm afraid when I close out and I open up just, regular Google Chrome and just be like, oh, these topics you should watch. I'm like, oh, great. Yep. A lot of arcade talk is going to be happening.
So, all right. So, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So, Super Puzzle Fighter, Ken Griffey Jr.'s Winning Run Baseball. I absolutely love that game. Neo Turf Master, great golf game for the Neo Geo. Mario RPG, Resident Evil, the first one. Mega Man 8. I like that game. A lot of people hate it, but I'm a fan of it.
I saw something recently about Mega Man 8 as well, and I don't remember disliking it, but I saw some discourse online that apparently it was not very well received.
Yeah, I remember Clown Man sucked, and then the level with all the clouds was a pain in the ass. That I can't remember what that level was too, but the one with all the clouds and they would go away and you'd have to. It was like kind of like an auto scroller. That level was really tough.
I played
remember that
in the Mega Man Legacy Collection.
Mm-hmm.
So I played through all of them once. The only Mega Man game, like mainline Mega Man game, I haven't played yet is 11. I do have it, but I have played all the classic ones. But I don't remember. I played them all back to back, so a lot of them I got mixed up on which one was which. So, but I don't remember hating any of them.
Yeah, I'm 100% agree with you. I already mentioned it earlier, but Parappa the Rapper came out that year, so obviously that's on my list. Killer Instinct 2 came out, so I was definitely playing that. NBA Hang Time, and then my last one was Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 and / Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Those were like the big ones, and there's a ton more that I could list, but I'll have you guys maybe hopefully say some of them too.
All right. Well, I guess I will go ahead then. I do have to make a slight correction because when researching my games for 1996 that were my favorite, I found that my favorite game of 1995, the one we talked about on last Party Chat, came out in 95 in Japan. It actually came out in
Mm.
1996 because it came out in like late December. It came out in early January in 1996 here in the States. And that's my favorite Mega Man game. That's Mega Man X3. But since I already talked about that last week, I just wanted to mention that actually came out in 96 here in the States. So that would be my answer. But other games that I absolutely loved from 96 was Donkey Kong Country 3, which was my favorite of the Donkey Kong games. It's the only one I actually owned. The others I either borrowed from friends or rented. I'm looking forward to playing through all 3 Donkey Kong Country games here again at some point for retro achievements. But yeah, I love Donkey Kong Country 3. That was my platformer of choice as a kid because I'd take Donkey Kong over Mario any day. And then it's funny that these 2 games came out the same year because they're 2 different generations. But Shadows of the Empire, probably not my first Star Wars game, because I talked about my first Star Wars games on top 5 Star Wars games a while back. But another one I'm looking forward to playing through again. Shout out to Fractured Filter. He's been playing through that again. I don't know if he beat it or not, but I was watching him stream that recently a week or 2 ago. That was a great game. Dash Rendar is a cool character. I know he's a Han Solo knockoff, but I mean, he's great. Who doesn't love Dash Rendar? And then another game that I totally forgot existed until I stumbled upon it when looking up games from 1996. I loved the heck out of this game, and was my favorite game in the Sims franchise, and that was Sim Copter. Did anybody play Sim Copter? This is easily the Sim game I played more than any other Sim games. I played a good number of them because I grew up like on the original Sim City and Sim City 2000. Sim Tower, I like that one as well. But Sim Copter, I easily spent more time in that than all other Sim games I played put together. I loved this game as a kid. And the best thing about it, two things. There was cheat codes for it because it's basically like Crazy Taxi, but in the air. Most of what you're doing is picking up people and delivering them. Occasionally you have to deal with like traffic jams and fires. You have to call the police but most of it was just delivering people around. And as you earn money, you can buy bigger helicopters and you can carry more people at a time. It was funny. You could fly up and you could click the Sims that are in your helicopter and drag them out and just let them fall to their death. But the best thing was that there was a cheat code to unlock the Apache, and it had machine guns and missiles. You just go flying around, blowing up the building, and just mowing down people. And the cops would be after you, but all they have is cars. So they're just driving around, following you as you're flying around because they can't catch you. And then there was also a cheat code. I don't remember what the code was, but it set off a nuke and it just destroyed everything. So I love Simcopter, and I forgot that game even existed until I was looking up games that came out in 1996. So I'm so glad that it reminded me of that game because it's like, yes, I get to talk about Simcopter because I love that one. So
fun fact about that game too is that's the first game that introduced what is it, Simlish, whatever the Sim language is,
spoken language. Yeah,
that's the game that introduced it to everybody.
I did not know that, but that makes a lot of sense because I'm pretty sure this was before the first Sims game.
Mm-hmm.
My Shuno.
But yeah, their gibberish language. Yes, that was in the game. I remember that now. So, Carl, what about you? You have any favorite games from '96?
So this is when I started getting closer to playing video games that I can actually remember. But yeah, Mario Kart 64. For sure was probably the game I played the most as a kid.
The only Mario Kart game I've played a lot of.
So I'm gonna go with Mario Kart 64. That's the one I'm gonna go with. There's a couple other games that came out around this time as well, but yeah, Mario Kart 64 was the one that I just remember playing so much as a kid, as well as like Pilot Wing 64 as well.
Wings. Yep. I didn't own that one, but I did play that one as well. But yeah, I spent a lot of time doing 4-player battle in Mario Kart 64. I didn't realize it because I thought battle mode was introduced in Mario Kart 64. Apparently, it existed on an original Mario Kart on Super Nintendo, which I didn't even know until a couple years ago. Someone's like, "No, that was in the original." I was like, "I did not know that."
But I do have one other game that I want to mention because I think I might stream this one next week.
one last thing on Mario Kart is I just retweeted someone just like a day or two ago because it was a top down of one of the Mario Kart 64 battle maps and said something about like one of the best like battlegrounds of your childhood. So I retweeted that because I spent a lot of time on that map. So go ahead with whatever game you were about to mention.
So there was a game I actually just bought a couple years ago now at this point, but I want to play it, and I played a little bit of it, and it was very interesting and has live action cutscenes. It's a game that was for the Sega Saturn.
Is this an
called-
FMV game?
It had live action cutscene. It wasn't an FMV game. It was actually a side scroller, I believe.
Okay, but it had cutscenes in it. Got you. And it was
it's called Mr. Bones.
I heard of it.
So that's a game that I wanted to point out because I think I'm going to stream it.
So I've never even heard of that one. So tell me a little bit more about it. You said it's a side-scrolling platformer.
So from what I was playing a little bit of it, evil wizard resurrects dead bodies, and they're all a skeleton army. But one of your skeletons is like a jazz musician, and he's like, "I don't like this," and he breaks away from it. That's as far as I got into game. I was testing to make it work, and I was like, "This is the greatest thing I've seen in forever." So
okay, Mr. Bones from 1996. Didn't even know it existed, but yeah, I'll have to check that out when you stream it. If we're not streaming at the same time. So, and Ryan, what about you? You got any favorites from 96?
Super Mario 64.
Oh, Super Mario 64. Were those both in 96?
yep.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That is the top. That's the top of the mountain. That's what the Nintendo 64 was sold on.
Yep.
It was huge. I was in middle school, and quite frankly, it was my first game system since the NES. So I was all about the N64. So yeah, that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big
it's
one.
Plain and simple. Plain and simple.
Mario 64. I didn't own it, but I have beaten it. I don't think I ever got all the stars, but I know I got pretty close.
Yeah.
To all of them. How many stars were it? Was it 120?
Yeah, 120.
Okay. I'm pretty sure I got at least over 100 stars. So, but I haven't played it since then because I think I was borrowing it from someone. I never owned. Although I think I ended up with it. It might be with my N64 games. I think I ended up with.
Did you steal?
Not intentionally. I think it just ended up in my collection, and because I know in college some of our friends like brought some of their games over, and they just left them over because they were always hanging out at our place. And then when we kind of all went our separate ways, they just ended up staying with me. So not like stolen, but kind of just ended up in my possession.
So stolen.
It's semantics. I wouldn't call it stolen, but I guess you could if you wanted to.
You're from California. It's not stealing unless it's $1,000.
That's right.
933.
Oh, that's the threshold.
I thought it was 950.
I thought it was 950 as well, but
no, they said it was 933.
Interesting. So, and right here at the end, we have Amon Ra coming in saying, "Moo, what's up, Amon Ra? How you doing tonight?" I got Mario 64 on DS. Oh, I did not know that it exists on DS, but that makes a lot of sense because I know that they've redone a lot of their games on more modern platforms. I know there's a lot that people are wanting them to redo on modern platforms, and they're not doing them. So, but such is the struggles of a Nintendo fan. So, all right. Well, that will do it for episode 29 of Party Chat. Thank you, Jason, for joining and
thanks for having me.
Not having to actually host because you are the guest on this one. So,
nice.
I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but is there anything that you want to plug going on your channel?
Yeah, next week, top 5. This person, I don't know how my thumb works.
Yes,
over here will be joining me a little late, but we'll be. Oh, and
so will
this one, Carl?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, these guys will be joining me next week as we finish our October with spookiness, as we talked about spooky games last week, and next week we'll be talking about movies. So yeah, if you are around, join us. We have some movies that we're going to talk about that we enjoy that are scary, spooky, disturbing, however you want to go, use that word. And it's one of our favorites. We're gonna make our list and see what will be the number one as our top 5 for movies for now.
Yeah, I've got my. I went through basically all the spooky movies, or just like all the movies, and made a list of them. Now I just need to narrow down my top 5. So I've done half the work. So yeah, next
that's
week.
usually how it goes. You write them down, and then you're like, all right, what's 5? All right, cool.
So yeah, next week at this time will be the next episode of Top 5. We'll be ranking our top 5 spooky movies, and yeah, Carl will be on there with us, and Fractured will be returning as well.
Yep,
very cool.
So, all right, and
I already know
Carl,
you're number 5, right, Neo?
I don't even know what my number 5 is. So if
I
you
know
what my
what it
number
is.
5 is, and it's news to me.
It's Space Jam. That's your number 5.
Space Jam. I wouldn't really put that in the spooky movie category, but I did love that movie as a kid. So
I mean, if aliens were coming and taking my basketball talent, I'd be pretty spooked.
Yeah.
So, Carl, what do you got going on? What do you want to plug?
I got really nothing going on except for game streaming this week. The next few days are already up there. But the next 3 games I'm streaming are Buffy the Vampire Slayer tomorrow, The Evil Dead Fistful and Boomstick on Thursday, and Friday we're going to be starting 7 o'clock West Coast time because I actually have to do something. And because I'm going to be so late, we're just going to play Monster Rancher and just have a chill kind of fun session with that one. Just watching monsters, maybe look up what CDs we can think of from back in the day and see what monsters popped out of it.
That's okay. I was going to say, I remember watching the Monster Rancher cartoon a couple times, and I know that there was a game. And I was like, I had this thing in my head. Could you plug in just random CDs that would unlock stuff for you in the game? Was that kind of the gimmick?
Yeah.
That is such a cool idea.
Yes, it was. It went from CDs, other games, and DVDs on the PS2.
Okay. Do you know how that worked? Like, could you put in like DVDs or CDs from like modern day and have it unlock, or was it only tied to specific CDs from back in that time?
I mean, I don't know if like you could do it now, but like back, so they ported them over to PC and Switch now because that's what I'm going to be playing it on. And they just have like a whole catalog of CDs that you can type in there from like comedy and music and whatever. So I think what was it when we did like a test run when I first did my test streaming and all that stuff. Fernando like said Hell Awaits by Slayer, and what monster that popped up was called a geisha, which is just a giant pink raptor with like a painted white face with like red dots on it. It is nightmare fuel, but that's what we've been doing. It's just like someone will say like a random CD, we'll look it up, and whatever monster we get, we just go with it.
Okay.
Very cool.
Because I was like, I thought that there was something about you can plug in other CDs and it'll unlock stuff for you in the game, almost like early amiibos. I was like, that is a really cool idea. So I'm really curious on the tech behind it and how that all worked. So I'll have to go look into that. So any luck on? Because I know when we talked about it last week, you were having some trouble with it. Any luck on the Van Helsing game?
Oh, I forgot that I had to buy that today. I actually bought a whole bunch of other games today because I wanted to get them out of the way. But yeah, I'll have to look into that tomorrow once all these bills go through to see what my budget's left.
All right. Yeah.
It's not that expensive. It's like $10. It's just want to make sure I just got to redo my finances and just figure out, okay, how much money I have to have for like gas and everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, because he was planning on streaming it last week, and he's like, "Oh, I don't actually own the game." So, because you were talking about that on Spooky Games Top 5 last week, I think.
I think it was, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was honorable mention.
Or maybe it was last party chat when we were arguing about Kate Beckinsale, whether she was hotter in Underworld or Van Helsing. That might have been it too.
Oh, Ryan, I forgot to say, my wife agreed with you. It was Underworld. She thought she was hotter.
Yeah, it's Underworld by a mile.
What? No.
It is by a mile.
No.
It is by a mile.
There's like no contest.
She's hot in Underworld, but she's way hotter than Van Helsing.
Not even close.
No.
Guys, I hate to interrupt. I gotta go, so I'm not gonna plug anything. I just I got stuff I gotta do. So
all right. Well, thanks for hanging out, Ryan. You have a great night.
Yeah,
We'll talk to you later.
Have a good one, Ryan.
see ya.
Cheers, man.
So,
Jason, you're wrong.
yeah.
No,
thank you. I know Carl's on my side.
My defense for help just left, so I mean, no.
Yeah, that's why we're picking on you. You're wrong.
Yeah, no, I will. We can easily put, it doesn't matter what anybody else's opinion is, but we can easily make a poll of this, and I easily would win 70, probably 70-30, 65-35, easily.
All right, Jason, remind me, and we'll put a poll up when we start top 5 next week, and we'll
Sounds good. Oh yeah.
So,
Oh yeah, that's fine.
We need visual pictures of her in both too, because the audience.
Maybe we'll just
yeah.
be off to the side, and we'll just leave her up on as the main screen the whole time, kind of like when I was sharing my screen the last.
I'll put a Carl face on both of them and just put it up as my avatar.
We'll do.
Yes, make it your avatar for top 5 next week. Do it.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm already. Not that I wasn't already, but I'm definitely now even more so looking forward to top 5 next week. So, all right. As for myself, tomorrow night, I'm assuming, I'm planning on it. I haven't talked to Dude about it this week, but I'm assuming that we're continuing Dude Souls tomorrow night, where I continue the sadistic self-flagellation that is playing Dark Souls. But Dude is helping guide me, and the last Dude Souls number 3 on our last one actually went rather well. So I'm hoping, with my fingers crossed, that it can kind of stay on this upward trajectory. I don't expect it to last long. And then on Thursday night, I'll be back with open mic with someone who I was introduced to due to my good buddy Carl here. And because this guy also grew up in my hometown of Sacramento, and so I'm having sophomore John on for open mic on Thursday night. So looking forward to talking to him and getting to know him a little better, because he's been on Carl's channel a couple times, and they've been great streams.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Can't wait for him to be on.
Yeah. And then next Monday will be the next episode of Mass Effect Monday. So anyone wants to play Mass Effect 3 with me for a couple hours, let me know. I'm planning on playing it on the Xbox version, but if anyone out there wants to play it and wants to do the Steam version, I'm perfectly fine with that. So I haven't talked to Carl about it. If you want to join me for that, obviously you're welcome to. But I do have a little twist I'm going to be adding to the next Mass Effect Monday, because my buddy Rozik, when we were playing Mass Effect last, something he said made me have an idea. I'm like, ooh, I have an idea to spice things up for our next Mass Effect stream. So that will be next Monday. It might be a little bit later because I will be working on site next week. So and it's like an hour away. So I'm not sure exactly what time it's going to be, but I'll be doing Mass Effect Monday next Monday. And then next Tuesday will be, as we said, the next episode of Top 5, and we're ranking our top 5 spooky movies.
I'm excited for that one.
And then next Thursday, I will be, instead of open mic, I will be catching up on all of my tips on doing a roulette stream. So because as I say, anytime a tip comes in, it gets added to my next roulette stream, and I haven't done one since July. So I'm a little behind. So catching up on all those tips and doing a roulette stream. We'll let the wheel decide what I play, and that's going to be fun. So with that, that'll do it for episode 29 of Party Chat. Carl, thank you as always for being a great co-host. Jason,
No problem.
Thanks for joining me for your first time on Party Chat, but
thank you.
My usual co-host on Top 5. So glad we got to talk about things other than our Top 5 list.
Yeah.
So everyone who came and hung out with us in chat, thank you all. Hope you all had a great time listening to us blabber on about mostly video games, but we went on a little bit of non-video game tangents, as is per usual.
As we do, yeah.
So hope you all had a great night. We will catch you all later, everyone. Have a good one. We will see you all later. And as usual, in the meantime, game on.